With the help of Steward Su, Jiang Yuan bought a small courtyard in Pingle Ward. Although it was still within Pingle Ward, the living conditions and environment were obviously much better than the previous one. Steward Su, trouble yourself to send someone to the restaurant to buy more wine and dishes. Let these old brothers have a good meal. As Jiang Yuan spoke, he pulled out a banknote for 100 taels directly from his sleeve. Steward Su froze for a moment, a trace of surprise flashing in his eyes. His young master-in-law really was generous with money. Only. Did he actually intend to treat these old veterans as his own retinue? A flicker of hesitation flashed across Steward Su's eyes. After arranging for his men to fetch the wine and dishes, he couldn't help but ask, young master-in-law, you aren't thinking of having these old fellows guard that marketplace of yours, are you? Their bodies are full of ailments right now, they might not even be able to defeat raw recruits. But Jiang Yuan shook his head, a smile glinting in his eyes. I don't intend to send them to the frontier. The value of veterans doesn't lie there. Steward Su nodded in partial understanding. He wanted to ask further, but saw that Jiang Yuan had already walked off into the distance. Winning people's loyalty wasn't all that difficult as long as you had enough sugar-coated bullets, most would willingly give their devotion. In Jiang Yuan's eyes, these veterans were no exception. After a steaming hot meal, the veterans' attitudes toward him had clearly grown much warmer. One-armed old Su, half drunk, asked, young master-in-law, just what do you plan on having us old brothers do? If it's to charge into battle, these old arms and legs of ours can't run fast anymore. As soon as the question was raised, all the other veterans pricked up their ears. They were all afraid of dying, especially those who had already clawed their way back from 9 deaths. They valued life all the more. Jiang Yuan smiled faintly, but his eyes were serious. My idea is very simple. I want you to train for me a specialized guard unit. The number doesn't have to be large, but every single one of them must be elite. Hearing that it was only about training recruits, the veterans collectively let out a sigh of relief. Their attitude toward Jiang Yuan became even more respectful. At the Su residence, Su Xian looked at Steward Su with a half-smile. So, my son-in-law went and recruited some veterans? Seems he still doesn't trust me, after all. Steward Su's heart gave a little lurch. He was indeed somewhat worried that his master and the young master-in-law might grow estranged. After these past days of interaction, he had already seen clearly that this illegitimate son of Marquis Zhang's household was actually a very capable and talented young man. If such a man could join the Grand General's household, he could certainly help share some of the old master's burdens. Master, actually, young master-in-law, he all right, you don't need to make excuses for him. Su Xian waved a hand, still wearing a faint smile. Su Dafu, you've been by my side for so many years, do you still not understand my temperament? If I didn't have the capacity to tolerate even this much, how could I have clawed my way step by step to where I am today? I just didn't expect the boy to have such foresight. Well then, it seems Yueying's days ahead won't be so difficult after all. Alright, go now. If that boy Jiang Yuan runs into any trouble, help him smooth it out. Yes, master. At the Chuanfang house, business was more prosperous than ever. Lady Luo Yan and the other sisters had been run-ragged these past few days. Still, though the work was busy, the enthusiasm among the girls grew higher and higher. Nanxiangjia, where did you buy that rouge? It works really well. Exactly. Nanxiang's skin is already so delicate it looks like it could drip water, but with that rouge, she's absolutely stunning. Nanxiang was surrounded by the group, her beautiful face glowing with a smile. Actually, I bought it at Chunnuantang. If you want, you can go there too. Chunnuantang? That's where noble ladies and officials' wives go. I've heard everything there costs a fortune. Nanxiangjia, how much was that box of rouge? Enjoying the feeling of being the center of attention, Nanxiang raised a single finger and waved it before them. It wasn't cheap. Just this one box cost 10 taels of silver. 10 taels. Shock rippled across the girls' faces. Nanxiangjia, that's 10 taels. You spent all that just on a little box of rouge? Exactly, isn't that far too expensive? But Nanxiang shook her head, replying, Chen Nuantang's goods are pricey, yes, but sisters, think about it another way, what are we earning all this money for? At those words, the others fell silent. It was true now, they no longer had to sell their bodies. Basu was generous, paying them all handsomely. But in this day and age, who didn't want to save up some silver? Even if just to help their families back home. Nanxiang, however, didn't think too much of that. She poured out her feelings in one breath. I was sold to Chuanfeng House by my parents, so I hate my father and mother. I know they live poorly now, but I don't care. As for marriage, I feel like I'll never meet a good man in this life. We all know what most men are like, don't we? After all, how many good men like young Master Jiang could there possibly be under heaven? At this, the girls all nodded unconsciously. Yes, young Master Jiang truly was a good man. They had originally assumed that a young lordling like him, after buying Chuanfeng House, would surely make use of them first. Yet instead, Jiang Yuan had not touched them, had even closed Chuanfeng House so they would no longer have to sell their bodies, and had given them another way to make a living. At this point, Jiang Yuan himself didn't even realize he had already become the white horse prince in the hearts of the Chuanfeng girls. Perhaps only Sister Luo Yan is worthy of young Master Jiang. Someone muttered softly, plunging the room into silence again. Even if I could just be his concubine. No, even just a bed warmer, I'd be willing. But with this ruined body of mine. Sigh. One after another, the girls let out long sighs. Their earlier excitement had vanished completely. After all, what chance did women like them damaged flowers and fallen willows have of finding a true good match? Just then, Nanxiang's voice suddenly rang out, enough, why all this fretting? Didn't you hear what young Master Jiang told us before? We can rely on our own hands to earn silver and support ourselves. As for men, I think without them, life is even freer. After all, if you had one, would he ever be willing to spend 10 taels of silver just to buy you a box of rouge? Jingliang Cloth Guild. At this moment, the atmosphere in the main hall was particularly heavy. Li Dihai looked at Wang Kuan, a trace of dissatisfaction between his brows. Old Wang, how come the current situation is completely different from what you told me back then? Why hasn't Xuanfang Pavilion closed down, and instead its business is getting even more prosperous? Do you even realize? Just in this past 10 days, our Jingliang Cloth Guild's business has dropped by a full 50%. When Wang Kuan heard this, he couldn't help but wipe the sweat off his forehead. He had never expected that Chuanfeng Pavilion would actually be reopened by that wastrel Jiang Yuan. That's not right. He had clearly already cut off their supply of raw materials. What kind of cloth was Chuanfeng Pavilion using? Suppressing his thoughts, Wang Kuan spoke up, President, to tell the truth, I also feel that there's something strange about this matter. Think about it, whether it's cheap ramie or precious silk, all the raw materials for weaving in the capital are in our hands, right? But you've also seen the situation now. Chuanfeng Pavilion hasn't closed down, instead, its business is booming. Where are they getting their raw materials from? Hearing this, Li Dihai couldn't help but furrow his brows. Because he, too, hadn't figured this out. The hall instantly fell into silence, no one saying a word. After a long while, Li Dihai hesitantly spoke, Old Wang, do you think there's a possibility that Chuanfeng Pavilion has some source of supply that we don't know about? Wang Kuan thought for a moment, then immediately shook his head. President Li, that should be impossible. To be frank, I've secretly investigated the ramie and silk coming in through every city gate these past days. But I haven't found any signs of smuggling. Hearing this, Li Dihai's frown deepened. If no one was smuggling goods in, then wasn't this matter even harder to explain? After pondering for a moment, Li Dihai finally made a decision. At this point, if our Jingliang Cloth Guild keeps competing with Chuanfeng Pavilion, it will only lead to mutual destruction. I think it would be better to invite Chuanfeng Pavilion to join our guild. That way, it wouldn't hurt anyone. Wang Kuan froze for a moment. Clearly he hadn't expected Li Dihai to choose to give up the competition. Not how it wouldn't do. If there was no competition anymore, how could he continue collecting benefits from others? The truth was, although Wang Kuan was the vice president of Jingliang Cloth Guild, he had secretly pocketed plenty of benefits. Any cloth shop wanting to join the guild had to give him a bribe in advance. But Chuanfang Pavilion had never followed this rule, and had even defied him several times. This made Wang Kuan very displeased. So he shook his head and refused. President, I don't think it's appropriate for us to concede so easily. And besides, you are the president of our guild. If we can't suppress Chuanfang Pavilion, then even if they join us, they surely won't obey your arrangements. Li Dihai frowned, but after thinking it over, he realized Wang Kuan wasn't entirely wrong. If that wastrel young master from the Marquis of Zhang's household refused to give him face, how could the Jingliang Cloth Guild maintain its standing in the capital? Then, old Wang, what do you propose? Wang Kuan chuckled darkly, his eyes flashing with cold light. President Li, we can agree to let Chuanfang Pavilion join, but the condition is that they must obey us. And I don't believe it. Where exactly are they getting so many raw materials? Give me 10 days. I will definitely find out the truth. Li Dihai thought for a moment, then nodded. All right, I'll leave this matter to you. After Wang Kuan left, Li Miaoshuang's lively figure suddenly appeared from who knows where. She glared at Wang Kuan's departing back, then let out a cold snort. Father, how can you still trust that kind of man? Haven't I already told you? That old Wang is not a good person. Hearing his daughter's words, Li Dihai couldn't help but show a wry smile. After all, she was his only daughter, cherished her so much that he didn't dare offend her. Miaoshuang, things aren't as simple as you think. Old Wang may not be a good man, but he is capable. With him in the guild, your father's burden is much lighter. As for Chuanfang Pavilion, it's indeed quite a problem for us. Miaoshuang, how about this? You stay home and help your father manage the guild. The moment she heard her father's suggestion, Li Miaoshuang jumped back as if struck by lightning, retreating several meters away. She waved her hands frantically, her face full of resistance. No, no way. I am Miaoshuang the heroine, a knight-errant who punishes evil and upholds justice. I will never become the manager of some cloth guild. Father, you'd better give up on that idea. You. Ah. Li Dihai let out a long sigh, his face filled with helplessness. Why was his daughter so obsessed with being a so-called heroine? After leaving the Jingliang Cloth Guild, Wang Kuan did not return to his own shop. Instead, he turned and went straight out of the capital. 20 li west of the capital was a mountain called Blackridge. It was said that many bandits lived there, so most travelers avoided it. But unlike others, Wang Kuan headed straight for Blackridge Mountain. Who goes there? Report your name. Suddenly, several burly men jumped out from the grass around him. Their leader held a strong bow aimed directly at Wang Kuan's chest. Wang Kuan's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly waved his hands, explaining. Wait, it's a misunderstanding. This is all a misunderstanding. We're on the same side. I'm a good friend of your second chief. My name is Wang Kuan. Just ask him, he'll know. A friend of the second chief? The bandits exchanged glances, a trace of doubt in their eyes. But since Wang Kuan claimed to know the second chief, they didn't dare act rashly. They restrained him for now and sent someone to report to the second chief. Inside the stronghold, when the second chief heard the report, he immediately grew interested. This Wang Kuan fellow came from the same village as him, both having fled here during troubled times. But their fates had diverged. One had turned to banditry and become a mountain brigand, while the other, by a twist of fate, had opened a cloth shop in the capital. Bring Wang Kuan in. I want to see him myself. At his order, the bandits quickly escorted Wang Kuan inside. When Wang Kuan saw the second chief, his face instantly lit up with joy. Brother Chang, you really are here. I came today to talk to you about a big deal. Are you interested? A day passed in a rush. Jiang Yuan slept soundly and woke up feeling refreshed. As his eyes slowly opened, he felt Jiang Roar's soft little hand on him. Roar? How many times have I told you, you mustn't touch there? Jiang Roar showed a mischievous smile, then pinched him hard. Young master, how do you do it? Why is it so hard? Just listen to this wolfish nonsense. Jiang Yuan coughed dryly, his drowsiness gone in an instant. Roar, stop talking nonsense. This is muscle, you understand? And take your hand off my arm. I need to get up. I know, young master. Jiang Roar obediently helped dress him neatly, then thoughtfully served him a bowl of meat porridge. Thanks to Jiang Yuan making quite a bit of silver lately, the standard of living in their little courtyard had improved. Even Jiang Roar herself had become rounder, especially in certain areas. Cough cough. Young master, what are you looking at? Jiang Roar frowned, her almond-shaped eyes glaring as she followed his gaze. Nothing. I just think Roar has grown up, and perhaps it's time you were married. Jiang Yuan smiled faintly, shifting his eyes naturally away from her prominent curves. If Roar's figure were placed in modern times, she would make countless girls green with envy. Whatever she ate seemed to go straight to her chest, truly terrifying. I don't want to marry anyone. Roar puffed her cheeks angrily, shaking her little fists, then deliberately pushed out her chest as she reminded him, Young master, have you forgotten? Madam said before she passed that Roar must take care of you for a lifetime. Roar is your personal maid. I can't marry anyone else. At this point, a mischievous glint suddenly lit up in her eyes. Oh, right. Young master, I remember you once promised that when I turned 16, I could warm your bed. Don't forget, my birthday is next month. This isn't urgent. Jiang Yuan cut her off at once, his heart pounding wildly. Why did he actually feel a bit of anticipation? Roar was so adorable, how could he possibly? Just as he was at a loss, a servant from the Jiang Marquis residence called from outside, Young Master Jiang Yuan, a carriage from the great general's mansion has arrived. They request your presence at the martial hall. I'll be right there. Jiang Yuan replied, hurriedly ate a few bites of porridge, and rushed out of the courtyard. Even as he ran, he didn't forget to turn back and remind her, Roar, stay home. Don't go wandering about. It's not safe outside lately. Got it, young master. On the carriage, Su Muying's calm voice suddenly sounded. I've heard about your situation. Jiang Yuan paused, looking puzzled. So, you think I should agree? After all, she's still too young. Her status is already set in stone, you can't change that. Su Muying shook her head, but a firm light flickered in her eyes. That's why I support you taking action. Jiang Yuan froze in shock. Wait, what? How did Su Muying know he was hesitating about letting Roar warm his bed? And judging by her words, she actually supported it? So maybe the problem was on his side. Denying a bedmaid the right to warm her master's bed might actually be unfair to her? With that thought, Jiang Yuan nodded seriously. In that case, I suppose I'll just have to go along with it. Su Muying also nodded, but suddenly her tone changed. But your way of thinking is too childish. You're still not strong enough. What you really need is to sharpen your own abilities, not waste time with slow, tentative steps. Do you understand? I'm not strong enough? Jiang Yuan's eyes widened, staring at Su Muying in disbelief. How would you know I'm not strong enough if you haven't even tried? Su Muying seemed a little taken aback by his stare, so she asked curiously, what? Did I say something wrong? Actually, if you were more forceful, my father wouldn't mind giving you greater support. And since you're my husband and son-in-law of the Su family, you don't need to worry about loyalty issues. Just put your heart at ease, alright? So that's what she was talking about? Ahem. Turns out she meant that. Jiang Yuan nodded. I understand. About the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn later, the carriage stopped in front of the martial hall. Jiang Yuan hopped down, heading toward the guest hall. But suddenly, a figure blocked his path. Jiang Yuan, I've thought it over. If you're willing to become my disciple, I'll break my rule and pass down my swordsmanship to you. Oh, no thanks. Without even raising an eyelid, Jiang Yuan strode toward the hall. What a joke. Fighting and killing was far too dangerous. Why would he wade into that mess? As the old saying goes, the ones who drown are always those who can swim. No way he was falling for that trap. His goal was to defeat enemies with brains, not brute force. With that thought, Jiang Yuan walked even faster. Li Chunfeng watched him go, but instead of disappointment, his eyes grew brighter. For one to resist the temptation of martial training, this was a rare kind of talent indeed. No, he must take this boy as his closed-door disciple. Just as he was thinking this, a lazy voice sounded beside him. Well, isn't this the great sword saint? What's wrong having trouble taking a disciple? I told you long ago, all you have is a brute's courage. A man of true wisdom would never waste time learning swordsmanship. Hearing this, Li Chunfeng instantly bristled. Without turning his head, he snapped back sarcastically, Wu Yong, you old fool. Don't you feel ashamed spouting such nonsense? You've spent half your life studying military strategy, and yet your skills can't compare to what some kid picks up from random books. If I were you, I'd hang myself from a crooked neck tree already. Wu Yong's face darkened in fury. You know nothing. Random books? You actually believe in such trash? Tell me this, if I handed you the sword manual of the snow-slaying sword immortal, could you even understand it? Of course not. If I could, would I be wasting my life as an instructor in the martial hall? Li Chunfeng shot back angrily, his face red. Wu Yong, you old bastard, are you doing this on purpose? Because I do have the snow-slaying sword immortal's manual. And I really can't make sense of it. So what? Wu Yong froze, his expression turning serious. But Jiang Yuan can understand it. Inside the martial hall, in the guest lecture chamber, Jiang Yuan silently returned to his seat, instinctively glancing down at the book in his hands. It wasn't that he didn't want to chat with Jiang Xing for a bit, but ever since he had stepped into the hall, nearly every classmate's gaze had been fixed on him. Look, everyone, Jiang Yuan actually came to the martial hall. I heard Princess Taiping quarreled bitterly with His Majesty all because of him. And he's here acting like nothing even happened? Alas. Poor fellow. Who knows how Sumyuing will deal with him? After all, he's already been ahem. Watch your tongue. Some things cannot be spoken carelessly. Thank you for the reminder, brother. After class, would you honor me by sharing a cup of tea? Jiang Xing, seated beside Jiang Yuan, wore a face full of curiosity. While the instructor had yet to arrive, he couldn't resist asking, Brother Jiang, about you and Princess Taiping. Didn't Sumyuing say anything? Hearing this, Jiang Yuan nearly coughed up blood. What do you mean, me and Princess Taiping? What could possibly exist between me and that flat-chested girl? She kidnapped me, then let me go, that's all. So Jiang Yuan shook his head and solemnly declared, don't listen to their nonsense. Between me and Princess Taiping, it's pure and clean, absolutely nothing whatsoever. Ah, yes, you're absolutely right. Jiang Xing winked exaggeratedly, giving Jiang Yuan a look that clearly said, I understand everything you're trying to deny. Jiang Yuan's mouth twitched. Several times he wanted to argue back, but in the end he held his tongue. After all, such a major incident had happened. Princess Taiping had already been confined by the emperor himself. No matter how he tried to explain, few would believe him. Forget it, just let them think what they want. As long as Sumyuing trusts him, everything else is trivial. Just as Jiang Xing was about to probe further, a flurry of hurried footsteps echoed through the hall. Soon, a burly, broad-shouldered man appeared before them. His skin was dark, his face rough and fleshy, giving him a terrifying appearance. Students, do you know who I am? At his gruff tone, the students only looked back in blank confusion. This man was unfamiliar. They truly didn't recognize him. Could it be? He was the instructor sent to teach them martial skills? After all, with that physique, he was 9 times out of 10 some great general. Seeing no one answer, the man's face broke into a simple, honest smile. He cleared his throat and said in a booming, muffled voice, "Actually, I wasn't supposed to teach this lesson. But for some reason, that old hall master insisted on arranging this course here in the martial hall. Fine then, I'll just say a few things. How much you understand, well, that's not my concern." After saying so, he cleared his throat again, then pulled a tattered book from his bundle. Opening the first page, he declared loudly, "Listen well. Today, I'll be lecturing on the Book of Songs." The moment those words fell, every student present was dumbstruck. Though they weren't all well-read, as scions of noble families they had each endured teachers drilling such classics into them when young. As for the Book of Songs, who hadn't at least heard of it? Admittedly, teaching the Book of Songs in a martial hall was a little out of place, but that alone shouldn't shock them. The problem was this burly fellow was going to lecture on the Book of Songs? Why did it sound so utterly unreliable? The man, however, seemed long used to such looks. He grinned, revealing a simple, good-natured smile. "Today, I'll be lecturing on one particular poem, Shuoshu, Big Rat. You've all heard of it. Haven't you? Big Rat. Wasn't that the one criticizing the nobility's exploitation of the common folk? But wait a second. Everyone here was a child of the nobility. Could they possibly resonate with the poem's emotion?" Many students wore mocking smirks. In their eyes, the suffering of commoners was simply the result of incompetence and laziness. Finally, one couldn't hold back and said, "Sir, I don't think this piece is worth teaching. Its message is nothing more than how the peasants suffer so bitterly. But what does their suffering have to do with us? It's not like we've stolen anything from them. Besides, what's there to steal from those dirt grubbers anyway?" The remark won quick agreement from others. Indeed, raised in luxury from birth, none of them understood the life of the common people. In their view, ordinary folks lived poorly only because they lacked effort. They themselves had never robbed any peasants, so naturally they felt no sympathy. Listening to their chatter, Jiang Yuan sneered inwardly. These pampered wastrels had no idea of the people's importance. Water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize it. Without the masses, how could these nobles enjoy such abundance? On the platform, the burly man listened to their chatter with the same placid, guileless smile, showing no anger. "Students, truth be told, I hadn't wanted to come teach this class. Because I knew you lot are nothing but fools, incapable of grasping its meaning." Fools? He actually called them fools. At once, flames of anger flashed in the student's eyes. So what if he was an instructor? Did that give him the right to insult them? The hall erupted into clamor as students demanded an explanation. Yet the man remained calm, still smiling in his simple, honest way. At that moment, his gaze fell upon Jiang Yuan in the corner, and he asked, "Jiang Yuan, I've heard from other instructors that your insights are quite unique, unlike those of these fools. What's your take on Big Rat? What the hell? Why drag me into this?" Jiang Yuan frowned, but unwillingly rose to his feet. "Sir, I don't really have any particular view. Prejudice in people's hearts is like a towering mountain. Some things, explained here, are nothing but playing the lute to a cow. Prejudice in people's hearts. A mountain. Playing the lute to a cow." The man repeated the words several times, his eyes growing ever brighter. "Good. Very good. Jiang Yuan, I knew I hadn't misjudged you. You haven't disappointed me. Would you be interested in following me to study the 4 books and 5 classics in depth? These works hold treasures that ordinary folk could never perceive. But with your intelligence, I believe you can grasp their deeper meaning." Hearing this, Jiang Yuan was completely dumbfounded. What did I even say? I was just spouting a few perfunctory words. How could you, as a teacher, not realize that? Inside the academy, the hall instantly burst into laughter. The other students looked at Jiang Yuan with a mix of sympathy and ridicule in their eyes. What a joke if you want to study literature, at least find a proper teacher. The man in front of them didn't look like a great scholar at all. Yet the burly man didn't seem to care in the slightest about their looks or whispers. Instead, he fixed his fiery gaze on Jiang Yuan and said, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Qiao Yuanfeng. You must have heard of me." Qiao Yuanfeng? The moment the name was spoken, the classroom instantly fell into dead silence. Every student gaped in utter shock, all staring at the man standing on the lectern. He was actually Qiao Yuanfeng? That living legend, the fierce warrior who single-handedly slaughtered his way through an entire prairie tribe. Qiao Yuanfeng was not originally from Great Zhou, but from the grasslands. Yet because he had killed far too many people there, the steppe tribes had joined forces to hunt him down, forcing him to wander far and wide. No one could have expected that this murderous demon would appear here, in Great Zhou's martial academy. Jiang Yuan's heart gave a violent tremor. Of course he had heard of Qiao Yuanfeng's notorious name. Rumor had it that this butcher once massacred over 100 men in a single night. The man seemed aware that his reputation was unsavory. Scratching the back of his head in a sheepish manner, he gave a clumsy grin and said, You don't need to be afraid. I've already turned over a new leaf. Killing really isn't right. It never solves anything. To truly solve problems, one must read more books and study harder." At these words, the students were left dumbstruck. So this was what they called putting down the butcher's knife and becoming a Buddha on the spot. Jiang Yuan was about to take advantage of the moment to slip back into his seat and muddle through this situation, when unexpectedly, the burly man spoke again. "Jiang Yuan, I can sense you have talent. You truly don't want to study the 4 books and 5 classics with me?" "No, thank you, sir." "Well then, what a pity." The man shook his head with genuine regret, but did not press further. Still, there was a hint of disappointment on his face. As for the other students, he didn't even bother sparing them a glance. The rest of the class passed quickly. During that time, not a single student dared to fool around or even raise their voice. At last, the deep toll of the bell announced the end of the lesson. Qiao Yuanfeng reluctantly closed the book in his hands. But he didn't leave. His eyes swept across the class as he rumbled in his thick voice, "By the way, I need to inform you all of something. This month, the Martial Academy and the Imperial Academy will hold a competition. Whoever takes first place will be granted a noble title by His Majesty. So, all of you must prepare well." After saying this, he looked straight at Jiang Yuan, his tone full of encouragement. "Jiang Yuan, I have great expectations for you. 10 days from now, in the competition I hope you won't let us down. Jiang Yuan, please spare me. Brother Jiang, please wait." Hearing the familiar voice, Jiang Yuan stopped and turned around. He saw Jiang Xing running over in a hurry. "Brother Jiang, how about we have a drink together?" "No." Jiang Yuan shook his head and was just about to leave when suddenly, a white-bearded old man appeared right before his eyes. "You are Jiang Yuan, yes? I have a task for you. In this month's competition, you must win the top prize. If you succeed, the reward I will grant you will more than satisfy." Jiang Yuan was stunned. He was about to ask who this old man was and why he was meddling, but in the blink of an eye, the figure had vanished without a trace. Beside him, Jiang Xing was just as dumbfounded. Jiang Yuan came back to his senses and quickly asked, "Brother Jia, did you just see a white-bearded old man?" "Su God. That was Su God." Jiang Xing's voice shook with excitement, his face alight with joy. "Brother Jiang, did you see it? That was the living Su God himself. And he actually spoke to us." Jiang Yuan froze. That old man. Wasn't he speaking to me specifically? But Su God. Fragments of memory surfaced in his mind. In short, this Su God was none other than Su Muying's grandfather. The reason he had been deified was simple: without him, Great Zhou would have fractured and collapsed long ago. It was thanks to him that the Su clan held its current glory. But Why had neither Su Muing nor his father-in-law ever mentioned this Su god to him? Shaking his head to clear his doubts, Jiang Yuan decided to set it aside. He didn't actually mind Su god's request. After all, when Qiao Yuanfeng mentioned that the winner would be awarded a noble title, his heart had already been stirred. In Great Zhou, a noble title meant not only honor, but privileges as well. For instance, fiefs, private armies, autonomous governance, and more. Though not quite a state within a state, it still meant vast independence. Most importantly, with his own territory, wouldn't developing his plans become much easier? As he was thinking this, Jiang Yuan suddenly spotted Yan Laolu's figure at the academy gates. Jiang Yuan frowned slightly and quickly said to Jia Xingjing, "Brother Jia, I just remembered something urgent at home. Let's meet another time." Jia Xingjing, a bit disappointed, nodded. But before he could say anything, Jiang Yuan was already striding toward the gate. In the capital, inside a humble little tea house, Jiang Yuan looked at Yan Laolu across the table and asked, "Senior Yan, has something happened at Chuanfeng House?" Yan Laolu nodded, took a big gulp of tea, and said with a half-smile, "Customer, your money doesn't come easy. Tell me, how on earth did you end up offending the bandits of Black Ridge Mountain?" "What the heck?" He'd offended. Bandits? Jiang Yuan was completely baffled. What nonsense was this? He didn't even know where Black Ridge Mountain was. How could he possibly have provoked them? Senior Yan, are you sure you didn't make a mistake? I don't even know where Black Ridge Mountain is, so how could I offend them? Then explain why they've come looking for you. Yan Laolu chuckled and suddenly stretched out his hand, waving it in front of Jiang Yuan's face. Want to know the reason? Just 10 taels of silver, and I'll tell you. The corner of Jiang Yuan's mouth twitched. This old fox. Truly greedy as ever. But still a mere 10 taels of silver, and in exchange he'd be buying vital information. A bargain, really. Alright, tell me what's going on. Jiang Yuan casually tossed 10 taels of silver. Yan Laolu's eyes immediately lit up. He snatched the silver and stuffed it into his pocket, afraid Jiang Yuan might change his mind. Clearing his throat, he began to explain in a pretentious manner, "Sir, you're really generous. Actually, here's the situation. The bandits from Heilingshan have recently set their sights on Chuanfeng Tower. Not sure which careless person leaked the news. A few foolish guys tried sneaking into Chuanfeng Tower a couple of days ago, but I discovered them. You know, I, Laolu, am a senior elder of the beggars sect. Dealing with a few petty thieves is nothing." Yan Laolu said this, proudly raising his eyebrows. "But those guys were tough and wouldn't give in, so I accidentally killed them," he added, with a hint of faux regret, as if lamenting not being able to extract more information from the bandits. In reality, he was overjoyed. Jiang Yuan frowned. The bandits from Heilingshan had their eyes on Chuanfeng Tower? That tower was his hard-earned project, and Su Muing even had shares in it. If anything went wrong, how could he answer to her? "Senior Yan, since you discovered these bandits, why didn't you capture them alive and interrogate them?" Jiang Yuan thought that capturing them alive would be far more valuable than just killing them, at least to extract information. Yan Laolu chuckled and gave him a you-know-how-it-is look. "Sir, you've got it all wrong. I've already taken your money to protect Chuanfeng Tower. As for capturing them, that's not really part of my duty. Capturing someone is troublesome. You have to interrogate them, and it's exhausting. Killing them directly is much easier. Unless you give me another 10 taels, and I'll get one alive for you." Jiang Yuan rolled his eyes. Yan Laolu really was all about money. Pay him, and he does a little, ask for more, and it's nearly impossible. Sighing, Jiang Yuan pulled out another 10 taels, ready to hand it over. Just then, a rough voice came from outside. "Nonsense. Yan Laolu, how dare you say that? We already caught a live one, and you still have the nerve to lie here." Lu Laolu strode in, muscles bulging. Pointing directly at Yan Laolu's nose, he scolded, "You old man. Shameless." You already captured the Heilingshan bandits, yet you dared cheat the sir here. If I hadn't arrived in time, would you have kept deceiving him? Yan Laolu, exposed by Lu Laowu, didn't look embarrassed at all. Instead, he laughed and scratched his head. Laowu, what are you saying? I was just about to tell the sir. Besides, capturing people is a minor matter, I could handle it alone, no need for you to intervene. Lu Laowu snorted, clearly not trusting Yan Laolu's words. He turned to Jiang Yuan, Sir, don't listen to this old fool. I've already interrogated the Heilingshan bandits. They targeted Chuanfeng Tower under orders from their second-in-command. As for anything else, they don't know. Jiang Yuan's interest was piqued. The key to this matter was the second-in-command. Senior Lu, do you know anything about the second-in-command? Lu Laowu shook his head, I don't, but if you want to know, Yan Laolu could help you find out. Yan Laolu perked up at once, rubbing his hands and smiling at Jiang Yuan, Sir, leave the info gathering to me. If you give me 100 taels, I guarantee I can capture the second-in-command for you to interrogate. Jiang Yuan rolled his eyes again. 100 taels? This guy really had nerve. He wasn't short on money, but he wouldn't be taken advantage of like this. He also had a team of veteran soldiers. Why waste money? Senior Yan, capturing people is unnecessary. I have my own plan. Yan Laolu looked disappointed but said nothing, merely nodding, very well, if you have your own plan, I won't interfere. Jiang Yuan then turned to Lu Laowu, Senior Lu, I have something I want your help with. Can you make it? He pulled a schematic from his pocket and handed it over. It was the design for the Zhuge repeating crossbow. Jiang Yuan had long considered this. His veteran soldiers were experienced but older, their stamina was limited. Equipping them with repeating crossbows would greatly increase their combat effectiveness. Lu Laowu examined the schematic carefully, eyes widening in shock and admiration. This design is remarkably ingenious. Judging from the layout, it should be capable of continuous firing. Exactly. It's called a repeating crossbow. Master Lu, how soon can you make one? Lu Laowu thought for a moment, excitement on his face. If the schematic is correct, I can make a prototype by tomorrow. But mass production would take about a month. Jiang Yuan beamed. A month was perfectly acceptable. With the Tianzhi Guild's guards, Heilingshan bandits wouldn't dare trouble Chuanfeng Tower for now. Good. Then I'll leave it in your hands, Senior Lu. If you can make these repeating crossbows, I'll reward you handsomely. Lu Laowu nodded, rest assured, sir. I'll do my best. Just then, Jiang Yuan's gaze fell outside the tea house. He saw a familiar figure sneaking into the fine cloth shop. It was his younger brother, Jiang Xing. Why was Jiang Xing here? Jiang Yuan frowned. Could he already be collaborating with the cloth shop? Even so, sneaking around like this seemed suspicious. What exactly was he up to? Jiang Yuan felt a pang of unease. His brother clearly had ulterior motives. Lost in thought, a voice of delight suddenly reached his ears, Benefactor. It's really you. Didn't expect you to be here drinking tea too. Jiang Yuan turned and saw Li Miaoshuang, her face full of excitement, staring at him. Benefactor, you're from the capital too. Yeah, what a coincidence. Jiang Yuan smiled faintly. In truth, he didn't really want to interact with Li Miaoshuang. After all, she was the daughter of the head of Jingliang Cloth Company and Jiang Yuan's business was in competition with Jingliang Cloth. If she discovered anything about him, it could only bring trouble. Sir, would you like to have a cup of tea together? Li Miaoshuang was enthusiastic, completely unaware of Jiang Yuan's distance. I'm a bit busy. Next time, for sure. Jiang Yuan waved his hand, politely declining her invitation. Li Miaoshuang looked a little disappointed but still remained courteous as she excused herself. Oh, since you're busy, I won't bother you then. However, after taking a couple of steps, she suddenly stopped. By the way, do you happen to know any suppliers for Remy? Our Jingliang cloth has recently hit some trouble. Trouble? Jiang Yuan was momentarily surprised and hadn't expected Jingliang cloth to run short of raw materials. Li Miaoshuang sighed, a hint of worry appearing on her face. You probably don't know, but lately the prices of these raw materials have risen sharply. My father has been really worried. Prices going up? Jiang Yuan's mind stirred. He hadn't heard about this before. Normally, for a company of Jingliang cloth size, raw material prices should be stable. Unless someone was deliberately stirring trouble. Still, he didn't reveal his thoughts. I don't have any channels here. Maybe you can ask someone else. All right, thank you, sir. Li Miaoshuang cupped her hands politely and turned to leave the tea house. Jiang Yuan watched her back, deep in thought. It seemed Jingliang cloth really was in trouble this time. But what interested him even more was what Jiang Xing was scheming with Jingliang cloth. Meanwhile, in the side hall of Jingliang cloth, Wang Kuan sat in the Grand Tutor's chair, rolling a pair of jade balls in his hands as he looked at Jiang Xing. Young Master Jiang, have you made your decision? Jiang Xing took a deep breath and gritted his teeth. Chairman Wang, I've made my choice. I am willing to send you one of the looms from Chuanfeng Tower. The condition is, you must give me 50% of the profits. 50%? Wang Kuan straightened up abruptly, eyes wide in disbelief. Young Master Jiang, that's outrageous. 50% of the profits, you might as well rob it. Jiang Xing chuckled, a trace of pride in his eyes. He had managed to get hold of the famous Chuanfeng Tower loom, but only because he was clever enough to discover its secret. Chairman Wang, don't dismiss it like that. The loom at Chuanfeng Tower is unique. With it, your Jingliang cloth's business can reach a new height. 50% of the profits is not too much at all. Wang Kuan snorted coldly. Though he coveted the Chuanfeng Tower loom, he wouldn't show it during the negotiation. You think I don't know that the loom belongs to your brother? You're stealing from your own brother and asking for 50%? Aren't you afraid your brother will come after you? Jiang Xing's expression flickered with panic for a moment but quickly returned to calm. Chairman Wang, that's none of your concern. As long as I can get the loom to you, the rest doesn't matter. Wang Kuan squinted, staring at Jiang Xing for a long while. Indeed, as long as he could get the loom, nothing else mattered. Very well, then let's cooperate happily. Tomorrow at this time I will send someone to collect the loom from Chuanfeng Tower. Make sure it's ready, don't try any tricks. Rest assured, Chairman Wang. At that moment, Li Miaoshuang happened to return to Jingliang cloth. As she entered the side hall, she overheard Wang Kuan and Jiang Xing's conversation. Her anger flared immediately. Wang Kuan! What are you doing? Why use such sneaky methods against Chuanfeng Tower? Can't Jingliang cloth conduct business with honor? Wang Kuan and Jiang Xing were startled and turned around. Woo! Miaoshuang, how come you're here? Why can't I be here? Li Miaoshuang glared at Wang Kuan, her eyes practically shooting flames. This kind of behavior is a disgrace to Jingliang cloth. If my father finds out, he will be furious. Wang Kuan waved his hand, speaking in a slightly reproachful tone, Miaoshuang, don't get so worked up. We're doing this for Jingliang cloth's benefit. The Chuanfeng Tower loom is better than ours. If we can get it, our products will be superior. That way, our business can surpass Chuanfeng Tower. Li Miaoshuang cut him off, speaking bluntly, that behavior is no different from stealing. Just for business, you have no moral boundaries? Wang Kuan's face darkened, and he couldn't retort. Enough. At that moment, Li Dihai walked in. He glared at Li Miaoshuang, Miaoshuang, this isn't your concern. Go back first. Li Miaoshuang stared at her father in disbelief. Father, how can you say that? Do you agree with their actions? Li Dihai opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. He didn't agree with Wang Kuan's methods, yet he also had no better solution. Jingliang cloth's current situation was dire. If no measures were taken, they would lose significant profits to Chuanfeng Tower. Miaoshuang, listen to me, go back first. I won't. Li Miaoshuang stubbornly looked at her father. If you don't kick Wang Kuan out of Jingliang cloth, I'll reveal this matter to everyone today. Let them see the true face of Jingliang cloth. Miaoshuang, let me explain. Wang Shu is also doing this for our company, and... Enough. Stop it. Li Miaoshuang's face turned pale. Suddenly, she spun around and dashed out. Li Dihai was alarmed, chasing after her, but her speed was too fast. He couldn't catch up. This rebellious girl. Li Dihai stomped in frustration. He knew that once Miaoshuang exposed this, Jingliang Cloth's reputation would be completely ruined. Wang Kuan, look at what you've done. Li Dihai glared at Wang Kuan, all because of you, using these low tactics. Now Miaoshuang has run off. What are we going to do? Wang Kuan also looked regretful. He hadn't expected the situation to escalate like this. Chairman, now isn't the time for this. We have to think of a way to suppress it. Otherwise, once Miaoshuang spreads this, we're finished. Li Dihai never expected that his daughter, Li Miaoshuang, would be so willful. Immediately, he mobilized everyone from his high-end fabric store to search throughout the capital for Li Miaoshuang's whereabouts. But unfortunately, the entire night passed without finding any trace of her. The entire staff of the fabric store was plunged into an unprecedented state of tension. In the capital, inside a luxurious courtyard, Wang Kuan's expression was dark as he looked at a few burly bandits in front of him. Since Li Miaoshuang refuses to recognize her place, we have no reason to let her off. You men were sent here by the second-in-command, so I assume you're all his trusted subordinates. I am ordering you now, find Li Miaoshuang, and execute her on the spot. Upon hearing this, the bandits immediately showed cruel smiles on their faces. One of the bandits sneered and said, Boss Wang, if we find this little girl, can we have a little fun first? Wang Kuan's face darkened, anger flashing in his eyes. At a time like this, these bandits were still thinking about such things. Truly a bunch of useless trash. But since he still needed to use them, Wang Kuan forced down his anger and said, she must be killed first. As for the rest, handle it yourselves. Got it. The bandits grinned and suddenly stretched out their hands. Boss Wang, since we're doing this for you, shouldn't you show some appreciation? The brothers want a little meal. This isn't too much to ask, is it? Wang Kuan's mouth twitched slightly. Not too much. He said as he pulled a few pieces of silver from his pocket and tossed them in front of the bandits. Make sure you find her, otherwise, we're all finished. Meanwhile, Jiang Yuan, as usual, was being attended to by Jiang Rower and had finished breakfast. Today, however, he had been standing at the gate of the mansion for a long time, waiting in vain for Su Muying's carriage. Instead, he saw Jiang Xing, who sneered sarcastically. Oh, so Su Muying isn't here to pick you up today? TSK, looks like you'll have to walk to the martial hall yourself. Has Su Muying lost interest in you? So she doesn't care about you anymore? Sigh, how pitiful. Jiang Yuan glanced at him disdainfully. Just then, not far away in a street alley, a luxurious carriage, driven by Su's steward, arrived. Master, Miss has suddenly had military affairs to attend to and has already returned to the army. She cannot come to pick you up today. Miss specially arranged for me to send over the most luxurious carriage from her household so that you may ride comfortably to the martial hall. Please get on. Jiang Yuan smiled faintly and glanced at Jiang Xing. He said nothing and stepped into the carriage. Yet his demeanor sparked an unusual fury in Jiang Xing. Damn it. What does this bastard Jiang Yuan mean? If you want to flaunt wealth, flaunt it, but why give me that look? And even if you've allied with the Su family, so what? Even if your carriage is infinitely more luxurious than mine, so what? Do you think I'll envy you? Ridiculous. Next year, after I ace the imperial exams and become the top scholar, I'll prove that you're nothing but a clown. But for now, I'll make sure you fall from grace and become the laughingstock of the capital. On the carriage, Jiang Yuan closed his eyes to rest. He never expected Su Muying to be so considerate. But what could have happened in the military? Jiang Yuan frowned, a trace of worry flashing in his eyes. According to his previous life's memories, after Su Muing returned, there should have been no battles at the frontier. Could the world line have changed? As he pondered this, a furious voice suddenly rang in his ears. What? What are you trying to do? Have you forgotten how I helped you before? And now you come to make trouble for me again? I only ate some food here today, and owe some money, nothing more. Is this really necessary? Behind this furious voice, a cold, mocking laugh appeared. Miss Li, you jest. We are very grateful for your help. But if you eat, you must pay. Otherwise, how can our small business continue? Then the voice suddenly took on a lewd tone. Miss Li, if you're really short on cash, I just happen to be missing a wife. Why don't you come with me? I'll provide you food and drink. Get lost. Li Miaoshuang shouted in anger and tried to draw her sword. But the sword was only halfway out when a man selling wontons, Zhang San, kicked it flying. Miss Li, do you really think you're a hero? Zhang San sneered, his face full of ridicule. Let me tell you the truth, with your 3 trick skills, you can't even beat a child. If it weren't for everyone taking your father's face into consideration, do you think you could become a martial hero? Stop dreaming, wake up. You. Li Miaoshuang trembled with fury, tears streaming uncontrollably. So all this time, they had been deliberately holding back for her. And she was nothing but a useless girl, unable to even defend herself. Wanting to be chivalrous and righteous? How laughable. At this moment, Li Miaoshuang felt her heart dead inside. She realized that all her years of perseverance had become a joke. Chivalry and righteousness? Wandering the world with a sword? It had all been just a beautiful dream of hers. And now, the dream had ended. She was really a powerless woman, pushed into a dead end, unable to resist in the slightest. Li Miaoshuang silently crouched down, tears streaming down in heavy drops. Yet her pitiful state did not gain sympathy from those she had helped before. Instead, it provoked a burst of laughter. Ha ha ha, do you see? This is the so-called heroine Li. Weren't you going to be chivalrous? Weren't you going to help us? So why are you crying here now? Without your father, you are nothing. Honestly, your father's men were already on their way here. I just mentioned it, and your father generously rewarded me with 10 taels of silver. Li Miaoshuang was utterly despairing. So all these years of her efforts were nothing but a joke. In the end, it couldn't even compare to 10 taels of silver. Just then, a fierce voice came from nearby. Everyone, get out of the way. What are you lot crowding here for? Zhang San frowned, a flash of anger crossing his eyes. He was about to speak when 4 or 5 burly men suddenly charged out from the crowd. Their fierce and menacing appearance immediately intimidated the onlookers. Zhang San didn't even have time to dodge before the scar-faced leader kicked him aside. Cursing under his breath, the scar-faced man strode forward, his gaze shamelessly scanning Li Miaoshuang from head to toe. Damn, she really is a rare beauty. You, a lousy wonton seller, dare to lay a hand on such a gem? You've got no sense of danger. Brothers, teach him a lesson. At his command, the bandits grinned viciously and pressed Zhang San to the ground, beating him mercilessly. Please, I was wrong. I was wrong. Miss Li belongs to you, I beg you, please spare me. The brutality of the bandits terrified the surrounding townsfolk, leaving them shivering in fear. Li Miaoshuang, however, remained squatting there, silent and motionless. The scar-faced man frowned when he saw this. Damn, is this little girl scared stiff or something? No, we need to grab her quickly before things get complicated. Stop. Suddenly, a clear, commanding voice rang out from a carriage. Moments later, Jiang Yuan's figure appeared before everyone. In fact, he had recognized Li Miaoshuang's voice back when she had the quarrel with Zhang San. He had immediately ordered Steward Su to stop the carriage. But when he saw her current state, his heart sank. He faintly remembered how this young girl had once been full of energy, her eyes always shining with determination. She had wanted to become a hero, to roam the world and fight for justice. But now, her eyes were dull and lifeless, showing no reaction to anything happening around her. Jiang Yuan felt that Li Miaoshuang was like an abandoned puppy. "Are you all right?" He walked straight to her side. Li Miaoshuang lifted her head mechanically, her eyes empty. "Benefactor. You're here?" Jiang Yuan nodded, then, in front of everyone's astonished eyes, helped Li Miaoshuang to her feet. "Get on the carriage first. We'll talk about everything later." Meanwhile, the scar-faced man, seeing his cooked duck about to fly away, scowled in anger. He lunged forward, blocking Jiang Yuan's path. "Hey, kid! This woman belongs to me. Step aside or don't blame me for being rude." "Oh, really?" Jiang Yuan gave him a cold glance, completely ignoring him, and continued walking forward. What a joke. He was in the carriage of a general's mansion. Who in the capital would dare block it? But he hadn't expected that the scar-faced man wasn't a citizen of the capital, but a bandit from Hailing Mountain. Bandits spent their days on the mountain and naturally didn't recognize the carriage of a general. The man snorted coldly and swung a fist at Jiang Yuan's face without hesitation. Jiang Yuan was momentarily stunned by the sudden punch. Whoa. Dude, you really dared to hit me? This is the carriage of a general, aren't you afraid of losing your head? But there was no time to think, because the fist had already come down. Fine, Jiang Yuan admitted he regretted it. As expected, one shouldn't show off too much, or things backfire. He instinctively tried to dodge, but just then, his vision blurred, and Steward Zhou suddenly appeared in front of him, protecting him. Immediately, the sound of cracking bones rang in his ears. The next moment, a shriek of pain came from the scar-faced man. Ah! It hurts. Steward Zhou coldly glanced at the scar-faced man, his gaze calm and unflinching. But that calm, unflinching gaze terrified the scar-faced man, making his whole body tremble. Murderer! You're a murderer! Help! Someone help me! The scar-faced man ran toward the city gate in a frenzy, ignoring even his subordinates. This time, he was truly scared. As a bandit, he wasn't afraid of death and had taken many lives before. But in that moment, the murderous aura emanating from Steward Zhou completely shattered his courage. This kind of killing intent. Even after killing hundreds of people, he felt utterly powerless before it, like a helpless infant. What did it mean? It meant that the old man in front of him had probably left mountains of corpses in his wake. Run. Must run. The capital is too dangerous, I'll never set foot here again. As the proverb goes, when the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. With the leader fleeing, the remaining bandits naturally ran for their lives. Seeing this, Jiang Yuan finally exhaled in relief. Thank you, Steward Zhou. No need, young master. Protecting you is my duty, the steward said with a smile, helping Jiang Yuan and Li Miaoshuang onto the carriage. However, he couldn't help giving Jiang Yuan a strange look. The carriage arranged by the young lady had brought another woman along. If the young lady knew, how would she feel? Well, the young master was upright and this was to save someone, so perhaps she would understand. Understand my foot. Women are never that generous. Inside the carriage, Jiang Yuan poured a cup of hot tea for Li Miaoshuang. She took a sip, her gaze on him unusually calm. Benefactor. You've saved me again. I really don't know how I could ever repay you. It's nothing. Jiang Yuan waved his hand, pretending it was no big deal. But then he asked, concerned, Miss Li, aren't you the daughter of the head of the Fine Cloth Guild? How did you end up like this? And your father? Doesn't he care about you? At his words, Li Miaoshuang's face immediately displayed a mixture of anger and despair. He's not my father. He's a fraud, a villain. I've cut all ties with him. Though she said this, tears still streamed uncontrollably down her face. No, don't cry, don't cry. Jiang Yuan flustered, having no experience comforting girls. I'm fine. Benefactor. May I lean on your shoulder for a moment? No. Jiang Yuan shook his head firmly, handing her a handkerchief instead. I'm a married man, we must keep our distance. But what exactly happened? Li Miaoshuang, her voice trembling with tears, recounted everything that had happened. When Jiang Yuan heard that Jiang Xing had planned to steal his weaving machine, the fog in his mind instantly cleared. So that's what his own brother was up to. Stealing the weaving machine from Chuanfeng Tower and then selling it to Jingliang cloth shop. That little scheme was clever enough. But he probably had no idea that Yan Laolu existed. Yan Laolu, although greedy and lustful, was reliable when it came to handling things. If Jiang Xing really tried to touch the weaving machine at Chuanfeng Tower, 9 times out of 10 it would end up in Yan Laolu's hands. So, from the very start, their cooperation was impossible. What surprised Jiang Yuan even more was that this girl, Li Miaoshuang, was so upright. And, in some ways, it wasn't even just uprightness, it was almost foolish. After all, surviving in this world first requires learning to hide oneself. Of course, everyone has their own way of living, and Jiang Yuan had no intention of changing Li Miaoshuang. He pondered for a moment, then slowly spoke, trying to reassure her, Don't worry. Their scheme can't succeed. Why not? Li Miaoshuang looked at him, bewildered. Jiang Yuan smiled faintly and said, Because I am the owner of Chuanfeng Tower. Moreover, since even that fool Jiang Xing knows how important the weaving machine is, do you think I wouldn't? To be honest, even if they really tried to act, there's no way they'd get Chuanfeng Tower's weaving machine. Hearing this, Li Miaoshuang breathed a deep sigh of relief. Thank goodness the hidden owner of Chuanfeng Tower was her benefactor. If it had been anyone else, things could have been troublesome. She had originally planned to tell him only after Chuanfeng Tower officially opened, but she hadn't expected that her benefactor was actually the tower's owner. What a coincidence. Benefactor, Chuanfeng Tower and Jingliang cloth shop are competitors, yet you've saved me multiple times. I really don't know how to thank you. If you don't mind, I could stop. Jiang Yuan was stunned and quickly gestured to Su Muing to signal her to stop. What was he thinking? With the Su family watching, if he agreed, he might not even live to know what happened. Besides, he was barely keeping himself alive, as it was. What woman could he even think about? Improving his strength and staying alive was the priority. With that thought, Jiang Yuan decisively shook his head and said, It was nothing more than a small favor to me. You don't need to make a fuss over it. But Li Miaoshuang opened her mouth, about to speak further, but Jiang Yuan shivered and quickly changed the subject. Right, let's talk about those scar-faced guys from earlier. Who are they? Hearing this, Li Miaoshuang clenched her tiny fists in anger. Isn't it obvious? They must be my father's servants. If they weren't sent by my father, why would they try to capture me? Jiang Yuan frowned, sensing something strange about the situation. Think about it, if the scar-faced men were truly sent by Li Dihai, their attitude toward Li Miaoshuang should have been somewhat respectful. At the very least, they wouldn't have used such insulting words. These people acted more like bandits. At that moment, a light bulb went off in Jiang Yuan's mind. Of course. How had he not thought of it before? Wang Kuan, the Black Ridge Mountain Bandits. Chuanfeng Tower. And now someone tried to attack Li Miaoshuang. If you connect the known clues, it's not hard to see one thing, whether it was causing trouble at Chuanfeng Tower or trying to kidnap Li Miaoshuang, the attackers were all bandits from Black Ridge Mountain. And these bandits had a very ambiguous relationship with Wang Kunthi, likely acted on his orders. So, in all probability, Wang Kuan is the mastermind behind all this. However, there was still one doubt. It made sense for Wang Kuan to target Chuanfeng Tower, but attacking Li Miaoshuang? That was somewhat outrageous. And Li Dihai actually allowed him to do this? Unless Wang Kuan had betrayed Li Dihai, or he intended to start his own operation. With that thought, Jiang Yuan suddenly asked, "By the way, you mentioned that Jingliang cloth shop is currently facing difficulties because raw material prices have been continuously rising, right?" Li Miaoshuang, still crying with tears streaming down her face, froze at the question. She even forgot to continue crying. She blinked and instinctively nodded, saying, "Yes." Recently, the prices of raw materials for Jingliang cloth shop have been rising constantly, and many of the increases have exceeded 50%. Maybe Li Dihai had no choice, so he... No. If he made a mistake, he made a mistake. I won't defend him. Jiang Yuan couldn't help but think that Li Miaoshuang, though a bit naive, was rather endearing. But he quickly shook his head, dismissing that thought. What I want to ask isn't that. I want to know whether you think the rise in raw material prices is unreasonable? Take hemp, for instance. After long-term cooperation, the quantity grown by farmers is basically fixed. Unless there's a major disaster, a supply shortage is unlikely. Li Miaoshuang, hearing this, also sensed that something was off. She hadn't heard of any disasters this year. So she asked, puzzled, but... The raw material prices really have been rising, and Wang Kuan is personally in charge, so there shouldn't be any problem. Wang Kuan again. Jiang Yuan's eye twitched, and a glint of insight flashed across his eyes. Now it all made sense. Wang Kuan wasn't just targeting him, was also keeping a greedy eye on Jingliang cloth shop. With that, Jiang Yuan explained his deductions to Li Miaoshuang. Upon hearing this, Li Miaoshuang couldn't sit still. No, I have to tell my father immediately. Jingliang cloth shop is his lifelong work. I can't let an outsider destroy it. After saying that, she actually intended to jump off the carriage right away. This move left Jiang Yuan dumbfounded. Wait, what are you doing? Jiang Yuan, shocked, instinctively stepped forward to stop Heronly to be knocked down by her momentum. Benefactor, are you all right? Cough, cough. Jiang Yuan coughed heavily and then, full of helplessness, said, Could you calm down a little? Li Miaoshuang looked just like a child who had done something wrong. Her head hung low, looking pitiful and aggrieved, without a word of retort. Seeing her like this, Jiang Yuan couldn't bring himself to continue scolding her, so he said, I have a feeling those bandits won't let you off so easily. And as for your father, Wang Kuan must have already made arrangements. If you go back now, you'll just be walking into the tiger's den. But then I'll have nowhere to go. Li Miaoshuang spoke, her voice awkward yet laced with grievance. Jiang Yuan scratched his head, feeling that this really was quite a troublesome matter. First thing to rule out was bringing her back to the Marquis residence. After all, within the Jiang Marquis household, he himself didn't have much power. Moreover, nothing that happened in the residence could escape Jiang Xing's ears. So, that option was immediately eliminated. If not the Marquis residence, then perhaps the Grand General's mansion wasn't impossible. But the issue was Su Muing had now gone to the army. The mansion was full of men, which would be rather inconvenient. Or maybe let her stay at Chuanfeng Pavilion? This thought suddenly popped into Jiang Yuan's head. But soon after, he shook it off as inappropriate. After all, Chuanfeng Pavilion used to be a brothel. If Li Miaoshuang, a maiden of marriageable age, really stayed there, and word spread, how would she ever find a proper husband in the future? Do you really have no place to go? Li Miaoshuang nodded, gazing at Jiang Yuan with a pitiful expression. Benefactor, could you perhaps take me in? I don't eat much, and I can do chores, laundry, cooking, anything. No, I really can't take you in. Jiang Yuan waved his hands repeatedly. It wasn't that he was unwilling to save her, it was truly inappropriate. How about you stay at the Martial Academy instead? The Martial Academy? Li Miaoshuang's eyes immediately lit up with surprise. As the most prestigious military academy in Great Zhou, the Martial Academy's reputation was beyond doubt. And she had always wanted to become a chivalrous heroine, traveling the world to uphold justice. Her dream since childhood had been to join the Martial Academy. But reality was cruel. Though her father Li Dihai had money, his status was lowly. And all those who entered the Martial Academy came from powerful families. So for Li Miaoshuang, the Martial Academy had always been something unattainable. But benefactor, wouldn't that be inappropriate? I heard the Martial Academy doesn't allow just anyone inside, and my status is so humble. Enough, don't worry about it. This little problem I'll handle it. Jiang Yuan patted his chest confidently. Other things he might not dare guarantee, but matters inside the Martial Academy those he could work out. At worst, he could just lecture Mr. Wu with a few more chapters from the Art of War. Alright then, get off the carriage. Oh okay. Li Miaoshuang followed behind Jiang Yuan like a little tag-along, head lowered. At the gate of the Martial Academy, the guards exchanged uneasy looks. Should they stop him? Or not? That was the dilemma. In the end, their sense of duty compelled one of the guards to speak up. Young Master Jiang, the Martial Academy does not allow unrelated outsiders to enter. Don't you think? Li Miaoshuang's heart sank with a thud upon hearing this. She instinctively tugged at Jiang Yuan's sleeve, just about to speak, when Jiang Yuan shot her a reassuring glance. Oh, not allowed in, is it? Then I'll leave. Jiang Yuan said that and immediately turned to go. But just then, Mr. Wu Yong happened to pass by the academy gate. Cradling an ancient text, he seemed deep in thought. He suddenly spotted Jiang Yuan outside the gate, and his face lit up with joy. He strode quickly over. Jiang Yuan, I was just pondering this. Tell me, what exactly does feigning to deceive the heavens mean? And this one, watching the fire from across the river, I always feel I'm missing something. Jiang Yuan smiled warmly, though his expression then turned troubled. Mr. Wu, I'm afraid I can't help you today. They won't let me in. Outrageous. Wu Yong's face turned green with anger at once. These past few days, he had been lying in wait for Jiang Yuan every day, hoping to glean more wisdom on military strategy. And now the Martial Academy guards dared block him at the gate? Absurd. He immediately fixed them with a stern glare. The guards, helpless, had to explain, Master Wu, please don't blame us. We're only following the rules. Young Master Jiang wanted to bring in an unrelated outsider, couldn't allow it. Wu Yong frowned. Indeed, the Martial Academy did have such a rule. Then he noticed the young woman following Jiang Yuan. Wait a moment. Why was there yet another girl by Jiang Yuan's side, and such a beautiful one too? Wasn't he engaged to Su Muying? And wasn't there some scandal with Princess Taiping as well? Now that the princess had been confined by the emperor, he immediately brought along another beauty? At this thought, Wu Yong's lips twitched, and his gaze toward Jiang Yuan carried new meaning. So the boy was a shameless skirt chaser after all. Still, such desires were natural. He was young, after all. But suddenly, Wu Yong's expression shifted, eyes narrowing warily. He looked at Jiang Yuan as though at a dangerous thief. His beloved granddaughter was inside the Martial Academy. He absolutely could not let this philandering pig harm her. Ahem, Jiang Yuan, the Martial Academy does indeed have this rule. This young lady is not one of our students, so. Fine then, I'll leave. Jiang Yuan nodded casually, turning to walk away without a care. To Li Miaoshuang, however, his actions were deeply moving. Her benefactor truly was a good manha, had even dared to stand up against a Martial Academy instructor for her sake. But what Jiang Yuan was really thinking was that this was the perfect chance to withdraw from the Martial Academy. Now he could finally free himself up and go to the frontier to build that integrated marketplace. On the other hand, seeing Jiang Yuan really about to leave, Wu Yong grew anxious. Jiang Yuan, wait a moment. Well, rules are dead things, but people are alive. Don't go just yet, this old man will think of a way. Hearing that, Jiang Yuan stopped, cupped his hands with a smile, and said, in that case, I'll trouble you, Mr. Wu. Wu Yong sighed helplessly, glaring at the boy with exasperation. But then his brows furrowed in thought. Bringing an outsider directly into the martial academy was clearly inappropriate, against the rules. So the only way to let this girl stay was for her to be accepted as a disciple under one of the instructors. But which one? Wu Yong was caught in a dilemma. He still had several questions today that he wanted to ask Jiang Yuan, but Jiang Yuan insisted on letting this young lady go inside first. What should he do? The key problem was a man. If he accepted a woman as his disciple, it didn't seem very proper. What to do? Wu Yong furrowed his brows, his thoughts racing. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as he recalled another teacher in the martial hall. Su Nisheng. That's right, Master Su was a woman. If she accepted a female disciple, it would be perfectly proper. Thinking of this, Wu Yong felt a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. He turned to Jiang Yuan and said, Jiang Yuan, this old man might have a way. But whether it works or not will depend on this young lady's own fortune. Jiang Yuan's eyes brightened at the hint of hope, and he quickly cupped his hands. Please enlighten me, Master Wu. Wu Yong stroked his beard and said slowly, in the martial hall, there is also Su Nisheng Master Su. She might be willing to take this young lady in. At this, the guard at the gate immediately breathed a sigh of relief. If it was Master Su, then naturally there would be no problem. Since it is Master Su, then of course it's allowed. Master Jiang, please enter. The guard quickly stepped aside with respect. Jiang Yuan smiled faintly and, together with Li Miaoshuang, followed behind Wu Yong. The three of them walked all the way to the teacher's quarters. This area was tranquil and elegant, quite unlike the stern atmosphere of the rest of the martial hall. Wu Yong led them to a particular courtyard. Before they even approached, a clear, lingering singing voice floated out from within. The voice was full of sorrow and tenderness, as if telling a moving story. Li Miaoshuang was entranced, stopping unconsciously to listen. This is Master Su's residence, Wu Yong whispered, motioning for them to wait. He stepped forward and gently knocked on the gate. Who is it? The singing stopped abruptly. A cool, detached voice came from within. The gate creaked open, and a graceful woman appeared before them. She wore a light purple dress, her figure was elegant, her aura ethereal. But when her eyes landed on Wu Yong, her gentle expression immediately turned cold. Wu Yong, what are you doing here? Her tone carried clear displeasure. Wu Yong looked embarrassed under her questioning. He coughed lightly, pointing to Li Miaoshuang behind him. Master Su, this old man has come today to bring you a remarkable student. At those words, Su Nisheng's lips curved into a mocking smile. A remarkable student? If it were your granddaughter, I might consider it. Wu Yong's old face flushed red. He waved his hands hurriedly. Master Su, you misunderstand. How could I trouble you to personally instruct my granddaughter? This young lady is equally remarkable, you'll know the moment you see her. As he spoke, he gently pushed Li Miaoshuang forward. Nervously, Li Miaoshuang bowed. Junior Li Miaoshuang greets Master Su. Su Nisheng sized her up from head to toe, a trace of curiosity flashing in her eyes. Can you dance? She asked. Li Miaoshuang froze, utterly caught off guard by the question. Dance? She had come here to become a heroine, not to learn dancing. Master Su. Why would one need to learn dance in the martial hall? She asked in confusion. Su Nisheng chuckled and countered, look at your frame. Do you think you have the bearing of a general? For a woman to carve a place for herself on the battlefield, how difficult is that? Li Miaoshuang fell silent. She knew Su Nisheng spoke the truth. Though the great Zhou had female generals, they were rare. A figure like Su Muing was 1 in 10,000. Most women were still confined to the inner chambers raising children and serving their husbands. But Li Miaoshuang tried to speak, but Su Nisheng cut her off. No buts. Her eyes suddenly lit up, as if she had discovered something. Come, do a movement with me. Though puzzled, Li Miaoshuang obediently followed. Sun Yishang instructed her to raise her arm and slowly turn her body. Li Miaoshuang clumsily imitated the gesture. Sun Yishang studied her closely, and a look of delight appeared in her eyes. This disciple, I'll take her. What? She accepted her that easily? Jiang Yuan, standing to the side, was stunned. Li Miaoshuang herself was equally dumbfounded. The happiness came so suddenly, she didn't know how to react. Master Su, did you just say? Sun Yishang smiled gently and took her hand. I said, I will take you as my disciple. Come, let's go inside so I can properly examine your talent. Without giving her a chance to react further, she pulled Li Miaoshuang inside. You two men don't need to disturb us. Bang! The gate slammed shut, leaving only Wu Yong and Jiang Yuan staring at each other awkwardly. Jiang Yuan, you go back to class first. This matter is not urgent. All right. Jiang Yuan answered cheerfully and was just about to leave when wait. Wu Yong suddenly called out. Jiang Yuan, earlier you mentioned what does watching the fire from across the river mean? Jiang Yuan stopped and looked back. Master Wu, didn't you just say this matter wasn't urgent? Wu Yong's old face turned red. Ahem, but I suddenly remembered this question is quite important. Hurry and explain it to me. Jiang Yuan sighed helplessly, then explained, watching the fire from across the river literally means standing across the river, watching a fire on the other bank. It's a metaphor for watching someone else's misfortune without offering help, just standing aside to watch the spectacle. Wu Yong nodded thoughtfully. I see. This is actually a clever stratagem. But what does this have to do with the art of war? Jiang Yuan only smiled, offering no answer. Just as he was about to turn and leave, an idea suddenly popped into his head. He spun around, cupped his hands to his mouth, and shouted loudly toward the teacher's quarters, Master Su. Master Wu has something from the bottom of his heart he wants to say to you. Wu Yong froze on the spot. What nonsense are you spouting, Jiang Yuan? When did I ever have anything heartfelt to say to Master Su? Jiang Yuan grinned mischievously. Master Wu, didn't you just ask about watching the fire from across the river? I'm demonstrating it for you. Before Wu Yong could reply, Jiang Yuan darted off toward the classroom. Wu Yong's face flushed crimson with rage. He had just opened his mouth when the courtyard gate creaked open once more. Sun Yishang stepped out, her eyes glinting with amusement as they fell on Wu Yong. Wu Yong, you finally made up your mind? Wu Yong? He stood there, utterly dumbfounded. Looking at Sun Yishang, his face stiff with embarrassment, he stammered, made up my mind about what? Master Su, what are you talking about? Sun Yishang gave a knowing smile. Wu Yong, don't pretend. Your feelings for me I've known all along. Wu Yong nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. This little brat Jiang Yuan, how dare he set him up like this? Wasn't this just sitting back and watching the fire from the shore? Not his was pouring oil on the flames. Madam Su, you've misunderstood, Wu Yong hurried to explain, but before he could finish, Sun Yishang cut him off. Wu Yong, there's no need to explain. I actually... She faltered, her face unexpectedly flushing a faint red. Wu Yong was completely dumbfounded. What in the world was going on? Could it be Sun Yishang actually had feelings for him too? No way, that was impossible. While his mind spun with wild thoughts, Sun Yishang stepped right up in front of him. Wu Yong, I've always admired you. Your talent, your character I respect both deeply. If you truly... Her voice grew softer and softer, until it was barely audible. Wu Yong's heartbeat quickened. It felt like he was about to suffocate. Was this a confession? Happiness had come too suddenly, leaving him completely at a loss. Madam Su, Summoning all his courage, Wu Yong was about to speak. but at that very moment, an untimely voice rang out. Mr. Wu, why are you still here? Class is about to start, the students are waiting for you. It was Jiang Yuan's voice, drifting over from not far away. Both Wu Yong and Su Nisheng started in shock, instantly stepping apart. A flicker of panic crossed Su Nisheng's face. She shot Jiang Yuan a glare, then turned and walked quickly back into the courtyard. Bang! The gate slammed shut heavily once again. Wu Yong stared at the closed door and let out a long breath of relief. Thank heavens! Just a little more and his integrity would have been ruined. Jiang Yuan, Wu Yong glared at him, about to unleash a scolding. But when the words reached his lips, he swallowed them back. After all, in that situation just now, he was the one who'd looked guilty. Mr. Wu, don't be angry. I was only thinking of your best interests. Jiang Yuan grinned, wearing a face that clearly said, I did this for your own good. Now you should really understand the meaning of watching a fire from the other shore, right? Enough. Wu Yong bellowed, cutting him off. Jiang Yuan, shut your mouth. My affairs are none of your concern. Get back to the classroom, now. Got it. Jiang Yuan responded quickly and ran off. Watching his retreating back, Wu Yong stamped his foot furiously. That brat was getting more and more out of hand. In the martial hall, the classroom. The moment Jiang Yuan walked in, he was surrounded by a group of students. Brother Jiang, finally you're back. We've been waiting for ages. Quick, tell us how you did it. Yeah, you're incredible. To have Madame Su personally accept a disciple, and she's such a beautiful girl too. Brother Jiang, be honest. What's your relationship with her? The students bombarded him with questions, their faces full of curiosity and envy. Jiang Yuan found himself encircled, at a loss for words. Everyone, quiet down and listen to me. He raised his voice, finally calming them. Actually, that girl and I are just ordinary friends. The reason she was able to become Madame Su's disciple was entirely thanks to Mr. Wu's help. Nothing more. But his explanation didn't convince them in the slightest. Brother Jiang, don't try to fool us. We all saw the way she looked at you, it was definitely different. Yeah, stop hiding things from us. Teach us your ways. How do you make yourself so popular with girls? The uproar resumed, Jiang Yuan's expression turning more and more awkward. He never expected to suddenly become, in their eyes, some sort of lady killer. This was too unfair. Really, you've all misunderstood. He tried again to clarify, but just then Jiang Xing squeezed his way through the crowd. Brother Jiang, you're truly amazing. Jiao looked at him with open admiration. I never thought you could juggle 3 boats at once and do it so successfully. Tell me, how do you pull it off? 3 boats? Jiang Yuan blinked, then realized Jiao was talking about Su Muying, Princess Taiping, and Li Miaoshuang. Brother Jia, you've got it wrong. But Jia cut him off again. Come on, don't be modest. Everyone knows you're engaged to Su Muying. With Princess Taiping, things are ambiguous at best. And now there's another beautiful girl accepted as Madame Su's disciple. If that's not 3 boats, then what is it? Jiang Yuan opened his mouth, but no words came. He realized he really couldn't explain himself out of this one. Brother Jiang, stop keeping secrets. Teach me too, I want to learn how to be as amazing as you. Jiang Yuan was utterly speechless, on the verge of collapse. How had he, perfectly innocent, somehow been turned into a scumbag who was 3-timing all at once? Ahem. Just then, a cough sounded. Li Chunfeng entered the classroom, and the students immediately fell silent. He cast a deep, complicated look at Jiang Yuan. Class begins. His cold words cut off all further chatter, and he began the day's lesson. The atmosphere turned heavy. Though the students dared not speak further, they still couldn't resist sneaking glances at Jiang Yuan. Sitting there, Jiang Yuan felt like he was sitting on needles. It was as if he had become the target of everyone's stares. Meanwhile, at the fine fabrics trading house, Li Dihai's expression was as dark as thunderclouds. He glared at Wang Kuan before him, his voice sharp with fury. Wang Kuan, didn't you say you'd already sent people to find Miaoshuang? Then why is she still missing? Wang Kuan's own face showed signs of anxiety. Chairman, I did send men after her. But there's been no news at all. I don't know where Miaoshuang has gone. Useless. Li Dihai cursed furiously. You're utterly useless. You can't even track down one little girl. What good are you? Wang Kuan endured the tongue lashing, not daring to talk back. He knew his chairman's temper was at its worst. Chairman, please don't worry. I'll send out more men. We'll find Miaoshuang. Li Dihai gave a cold snort. You'd better. If you fail again, then get out of the fine fabrics trading house. Wang Kuan nodded repeatedly and left quickly. But when he returned to his own base, he discovered that none of the bandits he had sent out had come back. Damn worthless trash. He cursed the Black Ridge Mountain bandits viciously. Totally unreliable, can't even find one person. It seems I'll have to take matters into my own hands. A ruthless gleam flashed in Wang Kuan's eyes. Li Miaoshuang, you'd better pray I don't find you. Otherwise, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Li Chuanfeng's class was enough to make people drowsy. But whenever a student couldn't resist their sleepiness and tried to nod off, they would be jolted awake by his razor-sharp gaze. So even though it was one of the dullest analects lessons imaginable, not a single student dared to fall asleep. At last, that boring lesson finally came to an end. Li Chunfeng looked over the students with satisfaction, then said flatly, "Your performance today was not bad. Keep it up." With that, he picked up his teaching notes and left without sparing them another glance. Damn, that was torture. You have no idea, I was about to die of boredom just now. This Mr. Li is terrifying. I only got a little drowsy and his stare nearly scared the life out of me. Forget it, don't bring it up. Anyway. Brother Jiang, are you free today? How about we have a drink together? Indeed, Brother Jiang, since we're all classmates, we ought to interact more often. Jiang Yuan never expected this. He used to be looked down upon as a concubine's son, but now, just because of this whole business about him courting 3 women at once, suddenly all his classmates were trying to cozy up to him. What the hell? Couldn't they at least act with some dignity? Aren't you all sons of nobles and aristocrats? And you can't even win over a girl? What Jiang Yuan didn't realize was that he was blaming them unjustly. It wasn't that these scions lacked women. What they lacked were exceptional women, the kind who couldn't be won over with money or power. Those were the ones they truly coveted and pursued feverishly. That was also why the playboys of the capital flocked to courtesans in brothels, sometimes even spending a fortune just to earn a single smile. Still, Jiang Yuan naturally wouldn't refuse goodwill. He knew very well that having more friends meant more paths forward. So he immediately stood up, cupped his hands with a smile, and said, of course. We're all one of our own. Tell you what, once classes are over today, I'll treat everyone to a gathering at Bai Huafeng. The moment those 3 words Bai Huafeng came out, the room went silent. Bai Huafeng, one of the 3 grandest brothels in the capital, was notorious for its sky-high prices. And yet, plenty of noble sons still scrambled to go there. Why? Because the courtesans of Bai Huafeng were each uniquely captivating, with charm and elegance beyond compare. The brothel was home to 4 top courtesans, Chunlan, Spring Orchid, Shaha, Summer Lotus, Chogue, Autumn Osmanthus, and Dongmei, Winter Plum. The 4 seasons, each with its own beauty. Those who knew. But there were more than 20 students in their class alone. If Jiang Yuan really hosted them at Bai Huafeng, the tab would easily reach at least 500 taels of silver. Brother Jiang, do you mean it? A student from a lesser family lit up instantly, his face full of eager hope. Most of the others, though smiling, were skeptical. After all, everyone knew Jiang Yuan was only a concubine's son in the Jiang Marquis. utterly disregarded by his household. If Jiang Xing had offered to host, that would be believable. But Jiang Yuan? Did he even have that much silver? Of all the students present, the one who trusted Jiang Yuan the most was none other than Jiang Xing. Because the woman he longed for lady's eye was weaving at the Chuanfeng textile house, which made a hefty profit. As for how much Jiang Yuan, the boss, earned, Jiang Xing had once done the math in private, and the result had left him questioning reality itself. Jiang Yuan was pulling in at least 30,000 taels a month. Since brother Jiang has said so, I shan't be shy tonight. Jiang Xing cupped his hands at once, expressing his thanks. The other students were stunned. Everyone knew he was closest to Jiang Yuan. If even he took it seriously, then Jiang Yuan probably meant it for real. Still, whether Jiang Yuan was genuinely wealthy or just putting on airs, the others had their own thoughts. At that moment, a soft, timid voice drifted into their ears. Fellow students, class time has begun. Could you all please return to your seats? I'd appreciate your cooperation. The students blinked and instinctively turned toward the lectern. There, on the platform, stood a frail, short figure. If not for the Adam's apple, they might have thought it was a woman instructor. Well now, finally someone who looked easy to handle. The students quickly returned to their seats. Quite a few even slumped down over their desks, ready to catch up on the sleep they had been denied in Li Chuanfeng's class. After all, with Li Chuanfeng's intimidating eyes, none of them had dared to doze off earlier. On the podium, the frail instructor's quivering voice rang out again. Hello everyone. My name is Chen Bingji, and I am your archery teacher. You may call me Mr. Chen, or Instructor Chen, whichever you prefer. Normally, archery would not be part of your curriculum until next year. But because of the upcoming competition with the Imperial Academy, we must begin early. Today will be our first lesson, so I'll just explain some basics in class. Starting tomorrow, we'll move to the training field, so please remember that, alright? Chen Bingji stammered on for quite some time. When he finally raised his head to look at the students, he realized that nearly half of them were already collapsed over their desks asleep. Some were even snoring. Snore. Snore. A trace of embarrassment flickered across Chen Bingji's face. It seems some of you haven't had enough rest. Let them sleep then, don't disturb them, okay? The corner of Jiang Yuan's mouth twitched, and he couldn't help sighing inwardly. Why was it that none of the instructors at the martial hall were normal? The sword saint taught Confucian classics. The killer lectured on poetry. And now, this sickly invalid was supposed to teach them archery. Looking at Chen Bingji's frail frame, could he even draw a bowstring? Jiang Yuan was still thinking this when, all of a sudden, Chen Bingji lowered his voice and said softly, As for archery, I think everyone should already know the basics. The key is nothing more than two things: precision and strength. For example, bang! A thunderous crash exploded from the lectern. The dozing students jolted upright as though struck by lightning, instantly snapping out of their dreams. What was that? Who set off a firecracker? What happened just now? Wait. Instructor Chen. Is that? On the platform, in full view of all, Chen Bingji had one hand pressed firmly against a 2-meter-long black iron war bow. Sorry, classmates, didn't mean to disturb your rest just now. I accidentally used too much strength. Chen Bingji's face showed an apologetic expression. Then, under everyone's gaze, he lifted up a massive bow with just one hand. Students, look closely. This is a 20 strength bow. The assessment for archery is very simple. As long as you can shoot this bow and hit the bullseye, you pass. 20 strength? All the students present widened their eyes, their faces filled with utter disbelief. What kind of joke was this? A 20 strength bow? Everyone knew that throughout the Great Zhou, the strongest bows used in the military were no more than 10 strength bows. Yet this frail, sickly-looking teacher was holding up a 20 strength great bow with just one hand? They all knew that the higher the boughs draw weight, the stronger the material needed to be. For it to reach 20 strength, that bough would have to be forged from black iron. But that was impossible. A piece of black iron that size would weigh over 100 jin. How could the scrawny, sickly Mr. Chen possibly lift such a heavy bough? Sitting in the corner, Jiang Yuan wore an expression of just as I thought. I knew it. Not a single instructor in this martial academy is a normal person. This Mr. Chen Bingji must also be some hidden master. Yes, that must be it. Sure enough, just as Jiang Yuan suspected, Chen Bingji still looked frail and delicate, lightly placing the massive black iron bough onto the table in front of him with just 2 fingers. But unexpectedly, perhaps because the wooden table was old and worn, it suddenly gave way with a loud crack, collapsing into pieces. The students present couldn't help but gasp. What kind of teacher was this? Chen Bingji's face turned awkward and embarrassed, muttering softly, this rickety table. Why is it so flimsy? You there, student sitting over there, come help me out. Hold this bough for a moment. Eh? What's this, haven't you eaten? Use some strength. This bough is very light. At that moment, sweat poured from the foreheads of every student present. This martial academy was truly terrifying. Fortunately, this Mr. Chen Bingji seemed rather easygoing. He didn't enforce too many strict rules on them. Soon, the lesson ended, and finally class was dismissed. The students instantly crowded excitedly around Jiang Yuan. Brother Jiang, can we set off now? Yes, Brother Jiang, I've been waiting to drink with you. Brother Jiang, no time to waste, let's hurry. Inside the instructor's building of the martial academy, Li Miaoshuang rubbed her aching bones, still feeling as if everything that had happened was unreal. Here, Shuang, have some fruit. Suni Shang smiled as she handed over a plate of freshly washed cherries. Li Miaoshuang absent-mindedly picked one up and put it into her mouth. Seeing her disciple so absent-minded, Suni Shang's lips curved with a teasing smile. What's wrong? Looking all lost in thought. Are you missing your little sweetheart? Li Miaoshuang's cheeks flushed bright red as she waved her hands in a panic. Master, please. Don't say such things. Young Master Jiang. He already has a fiancé, General Su Muying. Suni Shang's smile only deepened as she watched her disciple's shy reaction. You silly girl, do you think I can't see your feelings? But Shuang, remember life is actually very short. Many things, if you don't fight for them, if you don't chase after them, you'll miss the chance. And by the time you regret it, it'll be too late. Li Miaoshuang lowered her head, saying nothing. Her heart was in turmoil, she couldn't even make sense of her own feelings. Suni Shang chuckled softly, patting her shoulder before changing the topic. Shuang, have you ever wondered why, in a martial academy, there's someone like Mu who teaches dance? Li Miaoshuang blinked, stunned, and instinctively shook her head. I don't know, Master. Honestly, I've been curious too. Logically, the martial academy is for training. General Sit shouldn't have a dance class. Suni Shang smiled faintly, then explained, think about it. In this world, anything can become a weapon. From the smallest like a needle, a leaf, to the largest like a sword, a blade. Even dance. Dance? Li Miaoshuang widened her eyes in disbelief. That's right. Dance. Suni Shang nodded, her eyes glinting with confidence. True dance isn't merely for viewing pleasure. It can also be used to kill. The moment her words fell, Suni Shang's figure suddenly moved. Her long sleeves fluttered like an immortal descending from the heavens, graceful and elegant. Yet within her seemingly soft movements surged immense power. Crack! A sharp sound echoed not far away, a tree as thick as a bull's width snapped clean in two under the sweep of her sleeve. Li Miaoshuang was utterly stunned. She never imagined that a delicate dance could wield such terrifying force. Master, this. How is this possible? Suni Shang halted her dance, smiling faintly. This is a special technique of channeling inner energy. By fusing inner strength into the dance, then releasing it through particular methods of exertion, you can unleash devastating, unexpected power. Shuang Shuang, do you want to learn it? Without hesitation. Li Miaoshuang nodded. Yes. Master, I want to learn. Good. Then starting today, I will pass down to you this art, the feathered dance of Nishang. Thank you, Master. Meanwhile, Jiang Yuan and the Martial Academy students had already arrived at the gates of Baihua Pavilion. Wow. So this is Baihua Pavilion, it really is magnificent. No wonder it's one of the 3 grandest pleasure houses in the capital. Just look at this decor, this atmosphere, it's incredible. Brother Jiang, you're too generous. Yes, Brother Jiang, if you ever need anything in the future, just say the word. The students gazed in awe at the opulent Baihua Pavilion, endlessly praising it. Jiang Yuan only smiled, leading them inside. The servant boy who came to greet them instantly put on a broad smile. Even a fool could tell these richly dressed young men were men of means. The madam at the door, spotting the group, even abandoned the guest she had been tending to and hurried forward in person. This young master, will you gentlemen be enjoying music, or perhaps drinking? Jiang Yuan waved his hand boldly, his tone lavish. Prepare your finest private room, and serve every single one of your most expensive dishes. Inside the 100 Flowers brothel, the madam's face immediately lit up with a smile when she heard Jiang Yuan's words. Oh. Sir. You are really generous. Come, please step inside. Xiao Chui, hurry over and escort these guests in. In the peony elegant room, located on the 2nd floor of the 100 Flowers brothel, this spot was undoubtedly the best place to enjoy the performances. Xiao Chui, who was assigned to serve Jiang Yuan and the others, immediately brought over some hot tea, and then coquettishly said to Jiang Yuan, Sir, according to the rules of our 100 Flowers brothel, guests are expected to reward the girls upon entering. You see. The students present all knew the brothel's customs. Seeing no objections, Jiang Yuan casually reached into his pocket and pulled out a bill for 100 taels of silver, handing it over. Here, take it. However, this gesture stunned the other students. What the? He just tipped 100 taels of silver? Is that something a minor son of a Marquis household could do? Come on. Some of these students also came from wealthy families. Even so, their monthly allowances weren't enough to cover 100 taels of silver. Normally, even in a brothel like this, tips were only a few taels. The wealthiest guests might give 10 or 20 at most. When Xiao Chui received the bill, she was clearly a bit taken aback. 100 taels. She couldn't help but widen her eyes and check it carefully. Even in the 100 Flowers brothel, a guest who tips 100 taels in a single go was a rare occurrence, perhaps only a few per year. Could it be? Xiao Chui paused slightly, then her face lit up with understanding. Sir, which of the courtesans would you like to reward? This question stumped Jiang Yuan. What nonsense, they had never been here before. He didn't even know the 4 top courtesans, how could he choose? Doesn't matter, you decide. Jiang Yuan waved his hand, showing a casual, indifferent attitude. Please get the food and drinks ready as soon as possible. I want to enjoy a proper gathering with my fellow students. Jiang Yuan's magnanimity instantly won the admiration of the other students. After all, who wouldn't want to be friends with a rich guy? Xiao Chui, however, looked dazed and left the peony elegant room, saying, Madam, the guest in the peony elegant room. The madam frowned and shot Xiao Chui a displeased glance. You're already an adult, why are you still so clumsy? Well? What about him? Did he tip too little? I thought so too. He must not have been here often before. Alright, 10 or 20 taels is enough, you don't need to pressure them to tip more. Business isn't easy these days. The madam sighed lightly. According to the brothel's rules, the minimum tip in the peony elegant room was 10 taels. However, in recent years, due to consecutive natural disasters, patrons had been giving far less. But Xiao Chui shook her head repeatedly, her tone tinged with joy. No, madam, this guest. He tipped 100 taels. 100? 100. The madam's words trailed off as she suddenly realized something was wrong. She whipped her head around, exclaiming, wait, what did you say? 100 taels of silver? This young sir. He tipped 100 taels? Did he choose a particular courtesan? Yes, even the madam assumed that Jiang Yuan must be a regular of one of the top courtesans. She didn't recognize this handsome young man at all. Yet Xiao Chui shook her head again. No, madam, he said. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter? The madam was stunned. She had never seen a guest be so casual with 100 taels of silver. Madam, the guest also said. Xiao Chui hesitated, looking cautiously at the madam. What else did he say? Why are you mumbling? The madam grew impatient. He said. To get the food and drinks ready as soon as possible. He wants to enjoy the gathering with his fellow students. This. The madam froze. What kind of request was this? But she quickly realized the situation. Oh my goodness! Why are you still standing there? The madam slapped her thigh and hurriedly said, Quick, tell the kitchen to put aside the dishes for the other guests. Prioritize this young sir's food and drinks. After speaking, she still felt uneasy and added, I'll go myself. You clumsy girl, don't cause any more trouble. The madam hurried toward the kitchen, muttering as she went, This is a big spender. We absolutely cannot neglect him. Xiao Chui, go find a few girls from the brothel, she instructed. Have them go to the peony elegant room to serve him properly. Make sure they do everything they can to please this young sir. Yes, madam. I'm on it. Xiao Chui responded and ran off. Soon, a group of young, beautiful women filled the peony elegant room. They all knew Jiang Yuan was a big spender, so each of them tried to get close to him. Sir, your tea, sir, some fruit for you, sir, let me massage your back. The room buzzed with chatter and laughter. Jiang Yuan was surrounded, feeling overwhelmed. He had never liked places like this, and on top of that, he was here with his fellow students. Cough, cough. Jiang Yuan cleared his throat, trying to quiet the crowd. Ladies, I appreciate your kindness. But today I mainly came to gather with my classmates. So, could you please accompany them instead? He gestured to the students sitting around him. The students were stunned. They hadn't expected Jiang Yuan to be so generous. This was the 100 Flowers brothel. Each of these girls was stunning. Yet now, Jiang Yuan was giving them to his classmates? This was way too generous. Suddenly, the students' eyes toward Jiang Yuan changed. If before they had been polite only because he was wealthy, now they were truly impressed by his character. Brother Jiang, you're amazing. Yes, Brother Jiang, if you ever need anything, just ask. Brother Jiang, I'll drink a toast to you. Inside the peony elegant room, it could be said that everyone was enjoying themselves. Thanks to Jia Xing's introductions, Jiang Yuan had gained a bit more understanding of his classmates. This is Zhang Baokai, the second son of the left minister of the Ministry of War. This is Zhao Feng, the youngest son of General Xianfeng. And this is... Jiang Yuan knew that all his classmates were children of the powerful and influential. But through Jia Xing's introductions, he realized that these classmates were not just children of the elite. Behind each of them stood some of the greatest aristocratic families in all of the Zhou Empire. It was not an exaggeration to say that if these people wanted to do something, they could even influence certain policies of the imperial court. Of course, Jiang Yuan merely thought this to himself, because unifying the thoughts of such people was basically impossible. Speaking of which, he had to thank Princess Taiping. If she hadn't, in a fit of anger, beaten Jiang Xing's rear until it was covered in bruises, he wouldn't have had the chance to get close to his classmates. They wouldn't even have paid him any attention. So, could this be considered using a woman to advance one's position? As Jiang Yuan pondered this, the sound of hurried footsteps came from outside. Xiao Chui returned, holding a piece of paper and a brush. Almost simultaneously, from the stage on the first floor of the 100 Flowers brothel, a clear voice, bright as a yellow oriole, rang out, "Thank you, esteemed guests, for honoring the 100 Flowers brothel with your presence. I am Xia He. Greetings to you all. Today, I will humbly perform a song to entertain you all." After her words, gentle zither music began. Then came Xia He's singing, full of lament and emotion, "The bluestone slabs, rain not yet dry, on the willow-lined shore, who sighs?" Jiang Yuan sat in the peony elegant room, listening to this wailing, plaintive singing, his brow slightly furrowed. He simply could not appreciate this style. To him, the singing was just ordinary, nothing special. Yet when he looked at his classmates beside him, each had their eyes closed, completely absorbed, as if they were listening to a heavenly melody. "Is it really that good?" Jiang Yuan muttered to himself, unable to understand their taste. When the song ended, thunderous applause erupted from the stage on the first floor. In the peony elegant room, his classmates also opened their eyes and praised enthusiastically, "Wonderful. Truly wonderful." Miss Xia He's voice lingers in the ear, 3 days without fading. Yes, this song should only exist in heaven, rarely heard in the human world. Jiang Yuan looked at his classmates, each excited, and felt even more speechless. He didn't want to dampen everyone's mood, so he could only echo them with a few words. Not bad, she sings quite well." At this moment, Xia He on the first floor stage spoke again, "Thank you again, esteemed guests, for your appreciation. Next, we will have a literary gathering. My stage name is Xia He. Today, I invite everyone to compose a poem on the theme of lotus. If any of you create a fine work, I will be most grateful." After speaking, she bowed gracefully and then withdrew. Her maid, Qinger, stayed behind. "Gentlemen, please write your poems and hand them to me. I will submit them to Miss Xia He for her perusal." Qinger's voice was crisp and pleasant, very soothing to hear. Inside the peony elegant room, Xiao Chui had already arranged everything. She and a few maids placed ink, brushes, and paper in front of each student. When it came to Jiang Yuan, he waved his hand, "No need, I won't write." What a joke, he had no idea how to write poetry. Moreover, he had no interest in these activities in a brothel. Seeing Jiang Yuan refuse, Xiao Chui was stunned. She quickly tried to persuade him, "Sir, the 100 taels of silver you just gave were for Miss Xia He. If you don't write a poem, she will surely be very disappointed." At Xiao Chui's words, the other students began to cheer him on. "Brother Jiang, just write one." "Yes, Brother Jiang, you've spent 100 taels, if you don't write, isn't that a loss? Brother Jiang, don't refuse, leaving a beautiful lady waiting alone is not gentlemanly." Jiang Yuan felt helpless hearing them. Originally, he didn't want to write, but now, not writing would make him seem pretentious. "Alright, fine, alright," Jiang Yuan sighed, picked up a brush, and casually wrote 2 lines on the paper. "Little lotus just reveals its tip, already a dragonfly rests atop." After writing, he put down the brush, not expecting Xia He to be impressed. He was just doing it to humor the situation. In Xia He's small courtyard, Qinger handed her the collected poems. "Miss, these are the poems received today. Please take a look." Xia He picked up the papers and casually flipped through them. After reading a few, her brow furrowed. "Qinger, look at these poems, theory also unimaginative. Do these so-called scholars only know how to write such clichés?" Her tone was full of disappointment. Qinger glanced at the poems and found them exactly as Miss Xia He had said, all too ordinary, not a single one that could catch the eye. "Miss, don't be too disappointed. After all, these guests are just ordinary people. Being able to write such poems is already not bad." Xia He sighed and said nothing. At that moment, Xiao Chui came in. "Miss Xia He, these are the poems from the guests in the peony elegant room. Hearing this, Xia sneered, the peony elegant room? You mean the one who handed over 100 taels at once? Xiao Chui nodded. That's right, that guest. A trace of disdain appeared on Xiaohe's face. Humph. Anyone who spends 100 taels at once must be a merchant with no literary cultivation. What could his poem possibly be like? Xiao Chui, set his poem aside for now, I'll look at it later. He clearly didn't even bother with Jiang Yuan's poem. To her, someone like Jiang Yuan was obviously a nouveau riche, with no understanding of poetry. His poem would surely be nonsense. Seeing He speak this way, Xiao Chui didn't dare say more, and simply placed Jiang Yuan's poem aside. He continued flipping through the other poems, but no matter how many times she looked, she still couldn't find a single one that satisfied her. Alas, is there really no good poem today? He felt a bit frustrated and let out a soft sigh. Qing'er noticed and quickly spoke up, Miss, you shouldn't be too anxious. Why don't you take a look at the poems from the guest at the peony parlor? After all, he gave you a tip of 100 taels of silver. And he's a distinguished guest at the peony parlor. If you don't even glance at his work, it might seem a bit rude, don't you think? Qing'er's words reminded He. Indeed, no matter what, the guest had given a tip of 100 taels. It would be improper not to even look at his poetry. All right, I'll take a look, He said, picking up the poems from the peony parlor. She hadn't held much hope, and as she expected, the poems were still full of cliques utterly unoriginal. As expected, how dull. He sighed softly. But then, her eyes suddenly lit up as if she had spotted a gem. Lotus just showing its tip, already a dragonfly perched upon it. He murmured these two lines, her face showing surprise. Although the poem was only half finished, the imagery alone far surpassed all the other works she had seen. No more accurately, it was on a completely different level. In just 2 lines, the poem vividly depicted the scene of small lotus buds slowly emerging from the pond in early summer, capturing the beauty of the summer lotus pond perfectly. Even just the imagery alone surpassed all the other lotus-themed poems he had read. What a good poem! Such a good poem! But why is it only 2 lines? He frowned, eager to see the full poem. Qing'er, quickly, go invite this guest over. Now she was impatient to meet the talented man who could write such beautiful lines. Qing'er, surprised by Xiaohe's excitement, had never seen her show such interest in a guest before. Miss, don't worry, I'll go at once. Qing'er hurried out. Xiaohe looked at the poem in her hands, curiosity brimming. She really wanted to know what kind of person could write such exquisite verses. At the peony parlor, after several rounds of wine and a variety of dishes, Jiang Yuan found his classmates' enthusiasm utterly boring. The music was dull, and the girls were all reserved hardly like the fun one would have in a modern bar. Clearly, he thought, he was a man of virtue. As Jiang Yuan considered having Jiang Xing handle the rest so he could sneak off, suddenly, Xiao Chui came running over, followed by Qing'er. Everyone, esteemed guests. Xiao Chui panted slightly, clearly having run a long way. Could you tell me which gentleman wrote small lotus just showing its tip, already a dragonfly perched upon it? He wishes to invite this guest to the courtyard for a chat. Actually, Jiang Yuan had deliberately flipped the rice paper after writing, so even Xiao Chui didn't know that he was the author of this half-poem. Her words, however, instantly silenced the lively peony parlor. Wait. What's going on? Someone among us has gained Xiaohe's favor? The drunken students immediately sobered up. Though their faces were flushed from wine, their eyes became sharp and alert. Everyone held their breath, glancing at each other. Who? Whose work is it? To gain Xiaohe's favor? Speak up, don't hide it. They couldn't contain their excitement and spoke out, but when they looked at each other, everyone shook their heads. Not me. The lines I wrote I can't even bear to read myself. Not me either, mine were just filler lines. Silence fell again in the parlor. At that moment, all eyes fell on Jiang Yuan, the only one who hadn't spoken. Could it be? Jiang Yuan felt uneasy under their gaze and scratched his head. Well, I think it's me who wrote it. Boom. His words hit like thunder, instantly exploding the room. What? Brother Jiang, it's you? How? How is this possible? Brother Jiang, didn't you say you couldn't write poetry? Everyone stared in disbelief. They simply couldn't imagine that Jiang Yuan was the one who wrote those stunning lines. Xiao Cui was so excited she almost jumped up. She hurried to Jiang Yuan, her voice trembling, Sir. You are the one who wrote Small Lotus just showing its tip, already a dragonfly perched upon it? Xia he invites you to the courtyard for a chat. Her excitement sharpened her voice, and her heart rejoiced. This guest was not only generous but talented. And on top of that, he was good-looking, a complete package. If she could serve him well, her status at the peony parlor would surely rise. Yet Jiang Yuan resisted, waving his hands. No, no. I'm not interested in Miss Xia He. You all have fun without me. How could he go to some courtyard now? He'd rather go home and cuddle Jiang Roer. His classmates were outraged. Brother Jiang, you can't do that. Yes, Brother Jiang, Xia He specifically asked to see you. How can you refuse? You're not being fair to her, Brother Jiang. Xia He is the top courtesan here. Many would die to meet her, and now you have the chance. As gentlemen, we cannot break an appointment with a lady. Jiang Yuan sighed helplessly. Alright, I'll go, okay? Though reluctant, he secretly thought, these guys are more eager than I am. Could this be what they call? The emperor is not in a hurry, but the eunuchs are? Jiang Yuan turned to Jia Xing and said seriously, Brother Jia, I'll be right back. Please take care of our fellow students. He then took a stack of silver notes from his pocket and handed them to Jia Xing. This is 500 taels. If it's not enough, let me know. Gasp. Seeing the silver notes in Jiang Yuan's hand, the students collectively inhaled sharply. 500 taels. This is just too generous. For them, even if they pooled together a month's allowance, it wouldn't reach this amount. And Jiang Yuan casually pulled out 500 taels just to treat them? This is basically outrageous wealth. Immediately, the students' gazes toward Jiang Yuan grew even more intense. Brother Jiang, you're too kind. Indeed, Brother Jiang. If there's anything we can help with in the future, just say the word. Brother Jiang, I'll drink a toast to you. Brother Jiang, you truly are a good man. How did I not realize before that you're so well liked? Everyone sighed inwardly, regretting that they hadn't gotten close to Jiang Yuan earlier. Such a golden opportunity if they'd latched onto him. They wouldn't have to worry about money in the future. Jia Xing was also shocked. Taking the silver notes, his hands trembled slightly. Brother Jiang, this is far too much. No need, really, it's more than enough, he replied. Even though Jia Xing came from a wealthy background, 500 taels was still a significant sum. Take it, Jiang Yuan waved his hand casually, his face showing no concern. After all, this small sum was just a few hours' income for him. We're all fellow students, it's rare to gather like this, the main thing is to enjoy ourselves. Money is just an external thing, there's no need to fuss over it. His words were modest, yet to the students, they carried real weight. Look at him, this is true generosity. This is what a real friend is like. Compared to Jiang Yuan, the people they had befriended before were nothing. Brother Jiang, rest assured, we'll have a great time. Yes, Brother Jiang, you can leave it to us. Brother Jiang, you and Lady Xia He. Enjoy a wonderful evening. Jiang Yuan nodded and, led by Xiao Cui and Qing'er, left the peony elegant room and headed towards Xia He's small courtyard. Xia He's courtyard was exquisitely arranged. Various flowers and plants filled the space, and the air was fragrant with a subtle scent. As soon as Jiang Yuan entered, he saw a woman in a light green long dress standing in the center. Her figure was graceful, her face beautiful, with a faint trace of melancholy in her brows. But upon seeing Jiang Yuan, her sorrow disappeared instantly, and she hurried forward, performing a graceful bow. "I am your servant, Xia He." "Greetings, sir. May I ask your name, sir?" Jiang Yuan took a quick glance at her. She was attractive and well-proportioned, but, like Tai Ping, she was the just emerging bud type, youthful and delicate. Thinking of it, his own poem fit perfectly here. "I am Jiang Yuan," he replied. "Lady Xia He, no need for formalities." Xia He smiled lightly, softly speaking his name, a gentle smile on her face. "Sir Jiang's literary talent is truly astonishing," she said sincerely. "I've never seen such beautiful verses. The young lotus just reveals its pointed tip, yet a dragonfly has already perched upon it. These lines are simply divine." She did not spare her praise, and she meant every word. This half-poem was indeed the finest lotus-themed verse she had ever seen. "You flatter me," Jiang Yuan replied modestly. "Lady Xia He, may I ask why you summoned me?" "Sir Jiang." "There is something I do not understand," Xia He said with a hint of puzzlement in her eyes. "Why? Is this poem only half complete? Why didn't you write it fully?" Her voice carried a hint of regret. "Such a beautiful poem, yet it's only half written. What a pity." "Oh, that." Jiang Yuan scratched his head, a little embarrassed. "At the time, I only thought of half the lines, so I just wrote that. I didn't think much about it." Naturally, he wouldn't admit that he had been too lazy to finish it. "Just thought of half?" Xia He was stunned. She hadn't expected Jiang Yuan to give such a casual answer. This is far too effortless. Such exquisite lines, yet he just casually wrote them? Xia He felt both regret and a growing curiosity toward Jiang Yuan. Who was this man, capable of casually writing such astonishing poetry? "Sir Jiang, I take the liberty to invite you into the inner hall for a chat," she said, taking a deep breath to compose herself. "I would like to sing a song for you personally," she added. "To express my admiration for you." Xia He gestured for him to follow. Jiang Yuan, however, refused outright without a second thought. "No need," he said. "I'm not interested in your little tunes. My fellow students are still waiting, I should go." With that, he turned to leave. What a Zhou Qi had no appreciation for these Jiangnan folk songs. Seeing this, Xia He hurried forward to stop him. "Sir Jiang, please wait." "Sir Jiang, you don't know," she said with a troubled expression, her voice tinged with pleading. "At the 100 Flowers house, there is a rule: if you do not listen to me sing, I will be punished. I beg you, sir, have mercy on me." Her delicate, gentle voice, paired with pitiful eyes, made it impossible not to feel compassion. This. Jiang Yuan frowned. He hadn't expected the 100 Flowers house to have such a rule. It was completely unreasonable. But he also didn't want Xia He to suffer punishment because of him. With a resigned sigh, he said, "Fine, fine. Sing whatever you like. I'll leave after you finish." Saying that, he returned to his seat. He just wanted to get this over with quickly and return to his fellow students. Seeing Jiang Yuan agree, Xia He immediately smiled, inwardly pleased. She clearly had charm. However, she still wondered, had Jiang Yuan been pretending just now? Was he deliberately saying he didn't like little tunes, just so she would beg him? She walked beside Jiang Yuan and whispered, "Sir Jiang, what type of tunes do you like?" "I can sing anything," she added confidently. "Even songs I've never heard before, I can sing them after hearing once." Her tone was full of self-assurance. As the top performer of the 100 Flowers house, her singing skills were beyond doubt. She could perform any song effortlessly. And even mimic a new one after hearing it just once with 7,080% accuracy. When Jiang Yuan heard Xia He say that, he immediately became interested. To be honest, he did somewhat miss those popular songs from before. However, so many years had passed, and with a whole lifetime separating him from that era, the original tunes had long since become blurred in his memory. Thinking of this, a trace of melancholy appeared in his heart. Xiaohe, noticing this, showed an expression of puzzlement. What's wrong with young Master Jiang? Why does he suddenly look so sad? Her thoughts immediately began to conjure up many tragic love stories. After a moment's hesitation, she asked, "Are you all right, young Master Jiang? Do you have something troubling you? Perhaps you could tell me." Jiang Yuan shook his head with a smile and said, "No, no. I was just recalling some past memories." "Oh, by the way, you said earlier that you can imitate any tune, right?" Hearing that young Master Jiang was finally interested in her, Xiaohe's face showed a touch of pride. She waved her fair jade-like hand, her voice clear and melodious, "Of course. Young Master Jiang must not forget, I am a courtesan." Jiang Yuan nodded, paused thoughtfully for a moment, then said, "Then how about this, I'll hum a short piece for you, and you see if you can imitate it." "You? Young Master Jiang can sing too?" A look of disbelief flashed across Xiaohe's beautiful face. Jiang Yuan smiled faintly and said, "Forgive me for the poor performance. The plain clay sketching the brush strokes of blue flowers, thick then light, the vase depicts peonies, like your first makeup. The faint sandalwood scent drifts through the window, my heart understands, on the rice paper, the brush stops halfway." Although his memory was a little hazy, he still remembered the general melody of this song, "Blue and White Porcelain." Xiaohe, beside him, was so astonished that her eyes widened, her face full of shock. The melody sounded strange, but somehow it was incredibly beautiful. Xiaohe loved singing. But no matter how many songs she had heard, none had sounded as exquisite as how young Master Jiang performed it. And this particular tune she had never heard anything like it before. Jiang Yuan finished singing, and the room fell silent. Xiaohe stared at him in a daze, her eyes sparkling, completely captivated. She had never heard anything so unique. It was neither the soft, lingering melody of southern Jiangnan tunes, nor the bold, spirited style of northern songs. Yet it carried a distinctive charm, making it unforgettable upon hearing. "Young Master Jiang." Xiaohe's lips parted slightly, her voice trembling, This tune is so special. I've never heard anything like it before. Do you like it?" Jiang Yuan smiled faintly, pleased by her captivated expression. After all, this was a classic hit from his own era. "It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful." Xiaohe nodded repeatedly, like a little chick pecking at rice. "Young Master Jiang, did you compose this song yourself? Where did you hear it from?" Her eyes were full of curiosity, as if she wanted to see right through him. You could say that." Jiang Yuan touched his nose, speaking vaguely, "Actually, I heard this song in a dream." "In a dream?" Xiaohe was taken aback, clearly not expecting such an answer. "Yes, in a dream." Jiang Yuan nodded seriously, "This song is called Blue and White Porcelain. Blue and White Porcelain." Xiaohe murmured, slowly savoring the words on her lips. Even the name alone felt poetic. "Young Master Jiang, could you sing it again?" Xiaohe looked up, eyes wide and hopeful. I want to learn it." "Want to learn it?" Jiang Yuan raised an eyebrow, a playful smile on his lips. "You said you can imitate any song, and you can get 7 or 8 tenths right after hearing it once, didn't you?" "Well." Xiaohe blushed slightly, feeling embarrassed. "This song is too unique. I'm afraid I might." "Afraid? You'll need to listen to it several times before learning it?" Xiaohe bit her lip, feeling a little shy. "All right, then I'll sing it again." Jiang Yuan didn't mind. For this era, the song Blue and White Porcelain was indeed a bit ahead of its time. He cleared his throat and sang slowly once more. This time, Xiaohe listened even more intently. She focused entirely on Jiang Yuan's mouth movements, carefully listening to every note, afraid of missing a single detail. When he finished, Jiang Yuan slowly opened his eyes. So? Can you sing it? I'll try. He took a deep breath to calm her excited heart, then slowly opened her mouth, the plain clay sketching. The blue flowers. Her voice carried a touch of Jiangnan charm. While different from Jiang Yuan's original, it had its own flavor. The vase depicts peonies. Just like your first makeup. Jiang Yuan listened quietly, a look of enjoyment on his face. This was the kind of song he liked. Although Xiaohe's rendition differed from the original, it had a charm of its own. Jiang Yuan closed his eyes, letting the beautiful voice linger in his ears. Your eyes carry a smile. When Xiaohe finished the last line, she slowly opened her eyes. Nervously, she asked, What do you think, young Master Jiang? How did I do? Excellent. Truly excellent. Jiang Yuan did not hold back his praise. Lady Xiaohe, you sing wonderfully. Better than I do. Though not entirely flattery, Xiaohe's voice was indeed perfect for this kind of classical melody. Really? Xiaohe's face lit up with a joyful smile, showing two cute little fangs. Then, as if remembering something, her smile turned wistful, and her voice carried a pleading tone. Young Master Jiang, could you complete this poem? Little lotus just showing its tip, yet a dragonfly has already perched upon it. I've always remembered it. I really want to know what the full poem is like. If you can complete it, I will sing blue and white porcelain for you every time you come. She bit her lip, determined. For this poem, she was willing to pay any price. Oh? Is that so? Jiang Yuan's interest was instantly piqued. This is your promise, you can't go back on it. Your servant will never go back on her word. Xiaohe declared resolutely. Seeing her so determined, Jiang Yuan couldn't help but smile. Very well, then I'll reluctantly complete this poem for you. As it happens, inspiration is upon me. The spring eyes silently cherish the slender flow, shadows of trees reflect in water, loving the gentle sunshine. The young lotus has just revealed its pointed tip, already a dragonfly alights upon it. The more Xiaohe listened, the brighter her eyes became. By the time Jiang Yuan had recited the whole poem, she was so moved that tears welled up. So beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Master Jiang, this poem of yours will surely be the finest work in 100 Flowers Pavilion this year. Not only 100 Flowers Pavilion, it will be the best poem in the entire Great Zhou. She had no doubt that once this poem spread, it would shake the entire literary world of the Great Zhou. And her own fame would rise swiftly along with it. Master Jiang, you are truly remarkable. Xiaohe wiped at the tears at the corners of her eyes, choking back emotion. Your servant truly does not know how to thank you. By now she admired Jiang Yuan so much it bordered on reverence. No thanks necessary. Jiang Yuan waved his hand, taking it lightly. Just remember, every time I come, sing blue and white porcelain for me. Your servant will certainly remember. Xiaohe nodded repeatedly. Her tone soft and tender, her gaze toward him practically dripping with affection. Master Jiang, rest assured, from now on, I am yours. Whatever you wish to hear, your servant will sing it for you. Ahem. Jiang Yuan nearly choked on his own saliva at those words. Madam Xiaohe, you mustn't speak such things carelessly. My classmates are still waiting for me, so I'll be taking my leave now. Without giving her the slightest chance to hold him back, he turned and hurried away. Xiaohe frowned as she stared after his retreating figure. This Master Jiang really? Does he truly feel no attraction toward me at all? Yet a faint smile soon returned to her lips. Still, he was a good man. Handsome, and unlike those so-called great talents. And his tune was truly delightful. Miss. Qing'er entered the room and, seeing Xiaohe's dreamy smile, was utterly astonished. Could this Jiang Gongzi really have such charm? To leave her young mistress so entranced? Oh, Qing'er, when did you come in? Xia, he quickly smoothed away her smile and asked. Miss, could it be that you've fallen for this Jiang Gongzi? Xia, he froze for a moment, then a faint blush spread across her cheeks. Don't speak nonsense. This gentleman is a true upright man, utterly unlike the others. Yes, of course you're right, Mississippi. Qing'er grinned teasingly. But then a thought struck her, and her expression clouded with worry. But miss, you mustn't forget the task we came here for. Just now, the madam already had his background investigated. He's from the Jiang Marquis household, one of the Marquis' illegitimate sons. So. At those words, Xiaohe's earlier good mood seemed to vanish in an instant. But she didn't show it outwardly. Instead, she composed herself into cool indifference and replied, You needn't worry. I know where to draw the line. It will not affect our greater mission. Elsewhere, Jiang Yuan returned to the peony chamber only to find that his classmates had all disappeared. Only Jiang Xing remained, sitting alone, drinking by himself. Brother Jia? Why are you the only one here? Where did the others go? Don't tell me they've all gone home already? At Jiang Yuan's voice, Jiang Xing looked up in surprise, so startled he didn't even notice that his chopsticks had fallen to the floor. No. Brother Jiang, you're back already? That fast? Jiang Yuan blinked, sensing the odd look in Jia's eyes. Wait, why did this fellow's gaze feel so strange? Could it be, he thought. Realizing what might be going through Jia's mind, Jiang Yuan's expression darkened. Brother Jia, what nonsense are you imagining? I just went to Miss Xiaohe's place to listen to a song, nothing more. I understand, Brother Jiang. No need to explain, I get it. Jiang Xing gave him a look that said, I know everything without you saying a word, then added, Rest assured, Brother Jiang, I won't breathe a word. This secret will stay buried in my stomach. Oh, and I happen to have a 10-year-old bottle of Tiger Whip wine. If you need it, I don't need it. Jiang Yuan glared fiercely at him. He wanted to explain further, but the more he thought about it, the more impossible it seemed. Any attempt at explaining would only make it worse. So he quickly changed the subject, what about the others? At this, Jiang Xing's lips curved into a knowing smile. Brother Jiang, do you still not understand? Since you were so generous today, naturally our classmates have gone to enjoy themselves properly. But don't worry, the silver you provided was plenty. Jiang Yuan froze for a moment before realizing what he meant. So his fellow students had already started a second round. But then, Jiang Yuan eyed Jia suspiciously. Then why didn't you go with them? To his surprise, Jia shook his head gravely. Brother Jiang, that's where you're wrong. Have you forgotten? I already have someone in my heart. My dear miss, she is still working here in your 100 Flowers Pavilion. At this, Jiang Yuan was momentarily stunned. What the? Jiang Xing, who was never reliable, was suddenly keeping himself chaste for the sake of some she girl? Could this be the power of true love? But as far as he knew, that miss she hadn't even accepted him. Still, having Jiang Xing here was convenient. Jiang Yuan thought for a moment, then pulled out another 500 taels of silver and slapped it onto the table. Brother Jia, I have some other matters to attend to. I'll leave the rest to you. I'm off. Jia opened his mouth to speak, but Jiang Yuan had already strode out. Watching his back disappear, Jiang Xing let out a long sigh. Ah, Brother Jiang. I understand your pain. Don't worry, I'll definitely help you with this. As they say, to replenish form one must use form. We're brothers, after all. I'd never leave you helpless. In the capital, at the Grand General's mansion, after listening to the steward's report, Su Xian's face was dark and frightening. So, you're telling me that my good son-in-law is currently in the 100 Flowers house? Did he do anything improper? At that question, the steward chose silence. After all, men understood men. The young master-in-law had gone to a place like the 100 Flowers house. Could anyone really believe that he would restrain himself, doing nothing but drinking and eating? Who would buy that? But then again, the steward couldn't just outright say to his master that the son-in-law was indeed out sowing wild oats. Because truth be told, when he left earlier, the young master-in-law had really just been drinking and eating. After a pause, the steward finally spoke, "Master, the young lord is still very well behaved. At least before this old servant departed, he had done nothing that breached propriety. Moreover, I arranged for others to secretly protect him. There shouldn't be any problems." Zhou Xian heard this, but the storm on his face did not ease in the slightest. His thick brows knitted together, and his tone carried dissatisfaction. "If that's the case, then why didn't you stop him? You just let him mix in with such a place?" The steward opened his mouth, but had no words to answer. What could he say that he himself had no idea how to stop him either? Amid this awkward silence, a rush of urgent footsteps suddenly came from outside. "Report." A guard hurriedly ran inside, kneeling on one knee, reporting to the general. "We have news of the young master-in-law." Zhou Xian shot up to his feet, his gaze sharp as blades, locking onto the guard as he asked in a low voice, "Speak. What did he do? Did he commit any disgraceful acts?" Under Zhou Xian's terrifying stare, the guard trembled, lowering his head and not daring to look up. "Our reporting, General, the young lord. He wrote a poem, and asked Lady Xia He of the 100 Flowers House to sing a tune. After that, he returned to the mansion. He did nothing else." Zhou Xian froze for a moment, then suddenly burst into hearty laughter. "Ha ha ha ha. Good. Excellent. I knew it. The man I chose could never be some ordinary, debauched fool." The stormy clouds on his face instantly dispersed, replaced by open admiration and pride. The steward secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and his respect for the young lord grew even further. Meanwhile, at the Jiang residence as Jiang Yuan approached the gate, he spotted a sneaky figure emerging from the shadows. "Jiang Yuan?" It was Jiang Xing's voice, carrying nervousness and panic. "Why you? Where were you so late at night?" Jiang Yuan gave him a cold glance and said indifferently, "What's it to you?" Without another word, he ignored Jiang Xing and strode straight toward his own courtyard. Jiang Xing stood frozen, his face shifting between pale and livid. Staring at Jiang Yuan's back, a glint of venom flickered in his eyes. Jiang Yuan returned to his courtyard. As he pushed the door open, he immediately spotted a figure seated on the stone bench. "Elder Yan?" Surprised, he asked, "What brings you here?" Yan Laolu grinned slyly, hopping off the bench. "Master, I brought you good news." "Oh? What good news?" Jiang Yuan raised a brow, gesturing for him to go on. But Yan Laolu deliberately kept him in suspense, chuckling, "Hee, master, guess who showed up at our Chuanfeng house today?" "Jiang Xing, of course. I just saw him sneaking about." Jiang Yuan's tone remained calm, as though he were stating something trivial. "That boy Jiang Xing brought a few men with him and tried to steal one of our looms. I was about to catch him and teach him a good lesson," Yan Laolu said, "but that crafty old Lu stopped me. He even handed Jiang Xing a defective loom on purpose, letting him carry it away. Tell me, isn't that man just wicked?" Jiang Yuan paused, then a strange smile crept onto his face. "So what you're telling me is, Master Lu deliberately let Jiang Xing take away a piece of junk?" "Exactly." Yan Laolu nodded vigorously, then suddenly thought of something, his face lighting up with excitement again. "You don't know, Master Old Lu is downright sinister. The loom he gave them is absolute garbage. The cloth it weaves is uneven in thickness, and the threads keep snapping. I guarantee whoever uses it will be ruined for life." Jiang Yuan nodded slightly. After thinking for a moment, he pulled a silver note worth 10 taels from his sleeve and handed it to Yan Laolu. "You've worked hard, Elder Yan. This is your due." Yan Laolu's eyes lit up at the sight of the silver note. He snatched it at once, not the least bit displeased that it was only 10 taels. With gratitude in his eyes, he looked at Jiang Yuan and said, "Many thanks, master." Don't worry, with me around, no one will find a gap in our Chuanfeng house defenses. Well then, master, I still have some business to attend to. I'll take my leave first. Without waiting for Jiang Yuan's reply, he darted straight off toward the 100 Flowers house. Jiang Yuan blinked, then let out a helpless smile. That old fox Yan Lao Lu beaten to a pulp by Sai Chunhua not long ago, and still hadn't learned his lesson. But what did it have to do with him anyway? Stretching his arms, Jiang Yuan yawned heavily, fatigue showing on his face. Rower, come give this young master a shoulder massage, so sore. Wait. Put your clothes on first. Under the night sky, the 100 Flowers house was ablaze with light. Yan Lao Lu, clutching his silver note, walked into the main hall. Just then, he sensed something and instinctively turned his gaze toward a towering figure nearby. His brow arched slightly. A master. So the capital really was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. To think even a simple visit to a brothel would bring him face to face with such a top-tier expert. On the other side, a burly man with graying hair and beard also looked toward Yan Lao Lu. After a moment's pondering, a smile tugged at his lips. Tonight truly is lively. Even this old bastard has come slinking in. I wonder, if a certain someone finds out, will he be hacked to pieces on the spot? As this thought crossed his mind, a melodious voice rang out from the stage, "Greetings, honored guests. Thank you all for gracing us with your presence tonight. This humble one happened upon a fine poem today, and I would like to share it with you. The spring well flows in silence, treasuring its gentle stream, shadows of trees fall upon the water, cherishing the tender sunlight." Early the next morning, after washing up with Jiang Rower's help and casually eating some breakfast, Jiang Yuan made his way to the martial hall. Just as he stepped through the gates, he noticed a graceful figure staring right at him. "Miss Li, are you getting used to staying here?" Jiang Yuan smiled and greeted her. But Li Miaoshuang walked over, her face full of gratitude. "Many thanks, young Master Jiang. Mr. Su has accepted me, so I'm already allowed to live here. By the way, there's something I'd like to discuss with you." Jiang Yuan's eyelids twitched. He asked, "What is it?" I want to write a letter to my father." Li Miaoshuang seemed a little hesitant, even her voice grew weaker. "After all, I'm his only daughter, and I don't want him to worry too much. Besides, I want to remind him to be careful of that Wang Kuan." Recalling yesterday those men who harbored vile intentions toward her, Li Miaoshuang felt a chill of fear. Jiang Yuan nodded. He had no objections to her words. After all, strictly speaking, he had only saved her life by chance. "Miss Li, I merely saved you, I never intended to restrict your freedom. If you want to do something, then by all means do so. Just be extra careful." Li Miaoshuang softly replied, For some reason, her cheeks flushed faintly red. She seemed about to say more, but a deep voice suddenly cut in, "Su Bai. Finally, I found you. Come explain to me, what mysteries lie within the 4 books and 5 classics." Xiao Yuanfeng strode over with the vigor of a tiger. Although he was a burly steppe warrior, dark-skinned and imposing, he deliberately put on the airs of a refined scholar. But that scholar's robe hanging on his massive frame only made him look awkward and out of place. Even Su Bai hadn't expected this Mr. Qiao to still be thinking of him. He could only reply, "Mr. Qiao, you jest. I hardly understand the 4 books and 5 classics, it's only some shallow knowledge. However, surely Mr. Qiao knows that cultivating oneself, managing one's family, governing the state, and bringing peace to the world all must begin with self-cultivation." Xiao Yuanfeng's eyes lit up. He had known of that principle, but never heard anyone summarize it so clearly. When he turned his gaze back to Jiang Yuan, it burned with admiration. "Excellent. I knew it, someone with your wisdom must surely have great prospects in the classics. So, how about it? Would you like to study these classics together with me?" Jiang Yuan immediately shook his head. "Mr. Qiao, I'm really not suited for book learning. Besides, the great contest against the Imperial Academy is approaching, and I must hurry to prepare. Well then. It's almost class time, I won't keep you further. He turned to slip away, but Qiao Yuanfeng suddenly said, now that you mention it, I just remembered. After class today, don't rush home, I'll teach you archery. The moment Jiang Yuan stepped into the classroom, his fellow students immediately crowded around him. Brother Jiang, thank you so much for your hospitality yesterday. Yes, Brother Jiang, the girls at 100 Flowers House truly stunning. Brother Jiang, you're generous. If you ever need anything from us, just say the word. Jiang Yuan smiled faintly, inwardly pleased. It seemed last night's trip to the 100 Flowers house had worked wonders. Their goodwill toward him had skyrocketed. Collecting himself, he responded with a humble smile, we're all brothers here. No need for such formality. In the future, we'll all be colleagues serving in court. It's only right we look out for one another. That's right. From now on, we're brothers. After some pleasantries, Jiang Yuan, surrounded by his classmates, returned to his seat. Clearly, the silver he had spent was well worth it. Just then, a figure appeared at the doorway. The once noisy classroom instantly fell silent. Everyone sat up straight, looking the part of model students. The newcomer was Li Chunfeng. Dressed in a cyan robe and holding a scroll, he walked unhurriedly to the lectern. His gaze swept across the room, finally resting on Jiang Yuan. He frowned slightly and shook his head, half disappointed, half resigned. Jiang Yuan felt a shiver inside and muttered to himself, what's this Mr. Li up to again? Could it be? He knows I went to 100 Flowers house yesterday? No way, I was careful. And even if he does know, so what? It's not like I committed a crime. But Li Chunfeng said nothing. He simply opened the scroll and began today's lecture. Today, we shall study the great learning from the Book of Rites. His voice was deep and resonant, captivating to the ear. The classroom was silent, save for Li Chunfeng's words echoing within. Yet Jiang Yuan's mind wandered. He was thinking of how to win over all his Martial Hall classmates completely. After all, they would all become officials of Great Zhou one day. If they could become his allies, it would be of tremendous help to his plans. Time slipped by until the dismissal bell rang. Jiang Yuan let out a sigh of relief, ready to pack up and leave when Li Chunfeng called out, Su Bai, come with me for a moment. His voice was calm, betraying no emotion. Jiang Yuan's heart skipped. Not daring to be slow, he immediately followed. The other students watched curiously as Jiang Yuan trailed behind Li Chunfeng out of the classroom, through the corridor, until they reached the training grounds. Li Chunfeng stopped at an open space and turned toward him. Su Bai, do you know what events will be tested in the contest between Martial Hall and the Imperial Academy? Jiang Yuan nodded. He had already heard about it from Jiang Xing. Reporting to Sir, this student knows. There are 6 arts of the gentleman policy essay: archery, horsemanship, calligraphy, music, and swordsmanship. Li Chunfeng inclined his head slightly, a faintly amused look appearing on his face. Correct. Then which do you believe you excel at most? Jiang Yuan hesitated before answering, this student dares not say excel. I can only claim to have some small understanding of policy essays. Li Chunfeng's gaze was steady as he replied, policy essays are important, yes. But the other arts must not be neglected. Especially swordsmanship, it concerns the very safety of the nation. As a son of Great Zhou, you ought to master this path. At these words, Jiang Yuan could only cry inwardly. He had lived 2 lives, but never once studied swordsmanship. For him, it was harder than reaching the heavens. Yet he could not directly refuse. Forcing himself, he said, your teaching is correct, sir. I will do my utmost to learn. Li Chunfeng's tone softened slightly, very well. From today onward, after class each day, I will instruct you in swordsmanship for half an hour. How much you can comprehend depends on your own fortune. Li Chunfeng wants to teach me swordsmanship? Jiang Yuan froze for a moment, hesitation flickering across his face. but right after, he realized this might actually be a good opportunity for him. Before, he had worried about attracting the emperor's suspicion, so he had been keeping a low profile. But now, it was obvious that he had already been targeted. So the best course of action was to strengthen himself as much as possible, while also relying on the protection of the Grand General's residence, so that he could grow quickly. Thus, he immediately nodded and said, "Then I thank you, sir." "You don't need to thank me." Li Chunfeng gave Jiang Yuan a glance and spoke slowly. "I once said, in this lifetime, I have already sealed away my sword. I will never wield it again. So what I can pass down to you is only some sword manuals and my insights. How much you can learn from them will depend entirely on your own fortune." Saying this, Li Chunfeng drew from his sleeve a sword manual he had long prepared, and handed it to Jiang Yuan. "Take a look. If there's something you don't understand, you may ask me any time." Jiang Yuan accepted the manual gratefully, but the moment he opened it, he was completely dumbfounded. Because the sword manual was filled with crooked drawings, accompanied by mysterious, cryptic text. Jiang Yuan considered himself somewhat talented, but these things she truly couldn't make sense of them. Surly, these. Don't ask me. You must try to comprehend them yourself. Swordsmanship requires comprehension. If I point it out to you now, it will do you more harm than good." Jiang Yuan could only nod helplessly, and respectfully bowed. "Thank you, sir. I will definitely give my utmost effort and practice." At Jingliang cloth shop, in the inner hall, Li Dihai's hair was turning white from worry these past few days. He sat in the grand chair, fingering his prayer beads one after another, faster and faster. But the irritation in his heart just wouldn't go away. "Master, please don't worry too much. The young miss has heaven's blessing, nothing bad will happen to her." The steward at his side tried to comfort him. "Heaven's blessing? Nonsense." Li Dihai slammed the table hard and roared, "It's been so many days, and there's still no news at all. She's just a young girl. What if? What if something happens to her? How am I supposed to explain this to Madam?" The steward shrank back under the scolding, not daring to speak again. "And the raw materials?" Li Dihai rubbed his temples, his voice full of weariness. "The prices have gone up another 20%. At this rate, our cloth shop is really going to start losing money. What to do? What should I do?" Meanwhile, at Wang Kuan's residence, the hall was ablaze with lights, as Wang Kuan hosted a lavish banquet to entertain Jiang Xing. With a wide smile, he raised his cup warmly to Jiang Xing. "Master Jiang, come, I toast to you." Overwhelmed with flattery, Jiang Xing quickly raised his cup and drained it. "Many thanks, Chairman Wang." The two drank merrily, exchanging cups in great cheer. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 courses of food, Wang Kuan set his cup down, looked at Jiang Xing, and asked with a smile, "Master Jiang, that weaving machine you sent might truly helped me immensely. Now, tell me, what do you want? As long as I can do it, I will see it done." At these words, a gleam flashed in Jiang Xing's eyes. He clenched his teeth, leaned closer to Wang Kuan's ear, and whispered, "Chairman Wang, aside from the terms we agreed upon earlier, I have only one request, that is, Jiang Yuan must die." Wang Kuan's pupils contracted slightly, then he suddenly burst into hearty laughter. "Consider it done. Easily done." He clapped his hands. And several men in black strode into the hall. These fine fellows are heroes from Black Ridge Mountain, each of them formidable. With them taking action, Jiang Yuan will die without a trace, silently and unseen. Overjoyed, Jiang Xing immediately raised his cup to the black-clad men. "Gentlemen, I'll be counting on you from now on." The black-clad men exchanged glances, seeing in each other's eyes a hint of mockery. These pampered young masters from wealthy families so brainless. What a fat sheep he was. They had best make the most of this opportunity. Thinking this, they all grinned widely, raised their cups, and drained them. Of course, of course. Rest assured, Master Jiang, so long as the silver is in hand, this job is as good as done. That night, the banquet at Wang Kuan's residence was all joy and satisfaction. Jiang Xing left full of contentment. At the gates, Wang Kuan watched his departing figure, the corner of his mouth curling into a cold sneer. A son of the Marquis Jiang household? Huh. Nothing but a fool. Jiang Xing hummed a cheerful tune as he returned to the Jiang residence. Just as he reached the gate, he saw Lu Jing waiting anxiously there. The moment she spotted him, she rushed forward, her eyes full of desperate pleading. Master Jiang, you're finally back. I really had no other choice, that's why I came to find you. I beg you, please save my younger brother. He's been thrown into prison. Jiang Xing, still basking in the joy of soon eliminating Jiang Yuan, felt as though a bucket of cold water had been dumped over his head. His eyes widened, and he seized Lu Jing by the shoulders, roaring, "What did you say? What trouble has your brother caused again? Didn't I tell you to keep him under control?" Terrified, Lu Jing trembled under his grip, tears streaming down like rain. Master Jiang, you can't blame me for this. I really have been trying my best to discipline them, but they're just children, they don't understand anything. Master Jiang, please, you must save him. They're my own brothers, the Lu family's incense and legacy depend on them. Jiang Xing felt his head spin, his blood pressure soaring. He took a deep breath, forcing down his anger, and ground his teeth as he said, "Fine. Let's go. We'll see what's going on at the prison first." Inside the prison it was dark, damp, and reeked of foul stench. Lu Jing's two younger brothers were huddled in the corner, shivering. The moment they saw Jiang Xing and Lu Jing, they scrambled over as if they had seen saviors. Brother-in-law! Brother-in-law, save us! This place is unbearable, can't take it anymore. Yeah. We didn't even get dinner, we're starving to death. Hearing this, Jiang Xing's blood boiled even hotter. He turned toward the nearby jailer, suppressing his fury, and demanded, "What's going on? Don't you know who they are, and what relation they have to me? Why would you suddenly throw them into prison?" The jailer forced a smile, spread his hands helplessly, and said, "Little Marquis. It's not that we wanted Tobit, this was young Master Yang's order." Yang Gongzi? Jiang Xing frowned and couldn't help but ask, which Yang Gongzi could make you arrest people so recklessly, without even asking questions? The constable wore a bitter expression, silently crying inside. Why was he so unlucky today, to have provoked this spoiled young master? Clearly it was these two idiots who offended Yang Gongzi, yet now he had to face Jiang Gongzi's wrath. Tell me, who was he supposed to complain to about this injustice? But then again, this wasn't something a small figure like him could control, so he could only stammer nervously, "Little Marquis, of course it's the son of the Vice Minister of War." When Jiang Xing heard this, he frowned again. In truth, considering the Jiang Marquis estate's noble status, he had no reason to fear the son of a mere Vice Minister of War. After all, his father held the title of Marquis, something a Vice Minister couldn't hope to compare with. But the problem was the times had changed. Because Marquis Jiang had been in poor health for many years, he no longer held any real power. So while the Jiang Marquis estate's rank was more prestigious, in reality it was little more than an empty title. In terms of actual authority, they had virtually none. But the Vice Minister of War? That was a real court official, with genuine power in his hands. If they offended that family now, Jiang Xing was absolutely certain he'd be in big trouble. Thinking of this, he glared viciously at the Lu brothers in front of him. These two bastards had never once let him have peace of mind. He had poured a lot of silver into them, yet it was like tossing pebbles into the sea, not even a ripple in return. All they ever did was stir up trouble, nothing else. If not for Lu Jing's sake, he'd have chopped the two of them to pieces long ago. You two idiots, just what did you do to offend Yang Gongzi? The Lu brothers froze, then looked at him with disbelief. Brother-in-law, you've changed. It's just the son of a Vice Minister of War. What's there to be afraid of? Have you forgotten? You're the honorable little Marquis. Exactly. Brother-in-law, you absolutely can't let that young bastard off. He actually dared to fight us brothers over a woman, he must have a death wish. Shut the hell up. Jiang Xing's face turned green with anger. Why did he have to end up saddled with two such fools? He might be a playboy, but he wasn't stupid. He clearly understood the stakes in this matter. But these two brothers made him doubt reality itself. How could people this idiotic even exist? Jiang Xing even suspected that the Lu family's decline must have been caused by these two imbeciles. Fortunately, his fiancée Lu Jiying was a talented and reputable young lady. Otherwise, he would have seriously considered breaking off the engagement. Seeing Jiang Xing refusing to indulge them, the Lu brothers immediately turned pleading eyes toward their sister. Sister, please talk to brother-in-law. Yes, sister, we're your own flesh and blood. We're the only male heirs left in the Lu family. They gazed at Lu Jiying pitifully, looking ready to hug her legs and wail. Lu Jiying was driven half-crazy by their whining. She knew perfectly well that her two younger brothers had been spoiled rotten since childhood and didn't know the meaning of restraint. But still they were her brothers, the last hope of the Lu family. Biting her lip, she turned to Jiang Xing, her eyes filled with pleading. Jiang Gongzi. I know this puts you in a difficult position. But they are my brothers. They're still young and foolish. Could you help them, just this once? Jiang Xing felt a massive headache coming on. He genuinely regretted it now. Why had he been so blind as to fall for a woman who only lived to shield her brothers? And now those two useless idiots were bottomless pits, dragging him straight to ruin. But at this point, he couldn't just ignore it. After all, Lu Jiying was still his fiancée. If word spread that he couldn't even protect his fiancée's family, where would his pride go? Taking a deep breath, Jiang Xing suppressed his fury and gritted his teeth. Enough. I'll think of a way to handle this. But you two had better remember this. If you dare cause trouble again, I won't spare you. The Lu brothers' faces lit up with joy, nodding eagerly. Don't worry, brother-in-law. We'll listen. Yes, brother-in-law, we'll never cause trouble again. We'll be good boys from now on. Looking at their groveling expressions, Jiang Xing only felt disgust. He barely restrained his urge to beat them bloody on the spot, then turned to the constable. Let them go. I'll take care of this matter myself. Since Jiang Xing had spoken, the constable naturally didn't dare delay. He quickly unlocked the cell and released the Lu brothers. The two, suddenly free, cheered like children and immediately fawned around Jiang Xing and Lu Jiying. Their noise gave Jiang Xing a pounding headache, and he snapped impatiently. Enough. Shut up, all of you. With that, he led Lu Jiying and the brothers out of the prison. Later, at a restaurant, the Lu brothers feasted to their heart's content. Brother-in-law, you don't know how dark that cell was. We couldn't even get a warm meal. Exactly, brother-in-law. That young fellow is inhuman. He actually stole our woman. The Huang family's young lady, we both liked her, but that young dared to snatch her away. Outrageous. We were only thinking of carrying on the Lu family line. Brother-in-law, you have to stand up for us. The more Jiang Xing listened, the angrier he became. He wanted nothing more than to slap them both to death. But with Lu Jiying present, he had to choke down his rage in silence. Seeing his dark expression, Lu Jiying felt nervous. She knew her brothers were at fault here, but she couldn't just watch them suffer. So she spoke cautiously. Jiang Gongzi. I know this puts you in a hard spot. But they really do like the Huang family's girl. Could you help them? And besides, you're so capable, surely you won't lose to a mere Jiang Gongzi, right? Jiang Xing froze. He hadn't expected Lu Jiying to say such a thing. He had wanted to tell her that he couldn't possibly deal with Jiang Gongzi, but the words stuck in his throat. He couldn't lose face in front of her. So instead, he forced a cold snort and puffed himself up. Humph. A mere Jiang Gongzi? I don't even put him in my eyes. Senior Yan, do you know swordsmanship? Swordsmanship? Yan Laolu paused slightly, then a look of disdain crossed his face. Sir, I'm not trying to brag, but let me tell you, ordinary swordsmanship? I mastered the ultimate level of it over 20 years ago. Jiang Yuan's eyes lit up immediately. He quickly grabbed a wooden sword and held it in his palm. Senior Yan, would you mind pointing out where my swordsmanship falls short? He then demonstrated the moves from the sword manual, albeit in a jumbled order. Yan Laolu frowned as he watched. Sir, you've practiced this incorrectly. This basic sword technique isn't supposed to connect like that. With that, he casually picked up a branch from the ground and began demonstrating in front of Jiang Yuan. Watching Yan Laolu swing the branch with such vigor and precision, Jiang Yuan was completely stunned. Wait a second, why was Yan Laolu's basic sword technique identical to the sword manual Master Li Chunfeng had given him? Could it be that Senior Yan was a disciple of Master Li Chunfeng? But their ages were almost the same. Suddenly, Jiang Yuan considered another possibility. Could it be that what Master Li Chunfeng taught him was only the basic sword technique? No matter, would just learn it anyway. So, under Yan Laolu's guidance, Jiang Yuan practiced the entire night until his waist and back ached. Senior Yan, I'll take my leave now. Here's tonight's reward. He offered 10 taels of silver, but to his surprise, the usually greedy Yan Laolu firmly refused. Silver is unnecessary. It's nothing really. Just keep it for yourself. Jiang Yuan nodded, thanked him, bowed, and left. Yan Laolu, however, watched his retreating figure, muttering to himself. This kid looks skinny and weak, but he's actually a promising sword talent. After just one night, he's already grasped the essentials. If nurtured properly. Ahem. Never mind, time to enjoy the perfect nightlife. Yan Laolu thought to himself as he disappeared into the Baihua house. Inside Baihua house, the atmosphere remained lively and extravagant. As soon as Yan Laolu entered, he spotted the big spender he had encountered yesterday. This man was not only generous but also extremely sociable. Yan Laolu suspected he was someone of importance, but after thinking it over, he couldn't place him. Never mind, he thought, just enjoy the free ride, and if things go wrong, he could always escape. Boss Xian, we meet again. Mr. Lu, come, please sit. Your seat was the only one left. At the center of Baihua house, over a dozen beauties in flowing robes appeared like celestial maidens stepping out of a painting. Every gesture radiated a unique beauty, drawing applause from the audience. At that moment, a clear, delicate voice rang out like a lotus emerging from water, sketching the blue and white on bare porcelain. The brush moves from dense to light. The music left all the guests stunned, their eyes wide in astonishment. What is this melody? I've never heard it before, so novel. Yes, the rhythm. It's truly moving. The previously noisy atmosphere of Baihua house instantly became quiet. Everyone exchanged glances, clearly captivated by the sudden, enchanting music. Even the experienced boss Xian widened his eyes, as if frozen in place, staring blankly at the stage. Next to him, Yan Laolu's mouth dropped open, spilling the wine in his hand without noticing. The melody was extraordinary. It contained a graceful tenderness with a faint trace of sorrow, as if telling a poignant story, drawing listeners in helplessly. When the piece ended, the entire Baihua house remained silent, as if time itself had paused. Everyone was immersed in the exquisite music, unable to return to reality immediately. Finally, Xiaohe rose gracefully at center stage, curtsied toward the audience. Thank you, gentlemen, for your support. Her crisp, melodious voice broke the silence. The guests, as if waking from a dream, erupted into thunderous applause. Wonderful. Wonderful. Fairy. This melody seems heaven-sent, rarely heard in the mortal world. What is the name of this piece, and who composed it? Xiaohe smiled slightly and scanned the room. Gentlemen, you flatter me. This piece is called Blue and White Porcelain, composed by young Master Jiang. Young Master Jiang? Which young Master Jiang? The guests exchanged puzzled glances, unfamiliar with the name. Those young scholars who had previously admired Xia He now felt a twinge of jealousy upon realizing the piece wasn't hers, but by an unknown young Master Jiang. Young Master Jiang? Never heard of him. Probably some self-taught nobody. Indeed, this piece has novelty, but it's nothing extraordinary. Why such praise? I bet Miss Xia is just trying to flatter him. Several young scholars whispered to each other, their tone full of disdain and jealousy. They considered themselves highly talented and loved showing off their literary skills to beauties. Yet now, an unknown youth had stolen the spotlight, naturally leaving them annoyed. Xia He heard their murmurs, her eyes flickering with displeasure. She despised such petty scholars, so envious of others despite lacking real talent, yet so self-righteous. Truly nauseating. Just who were they to compare themselves to young Master Jiang? Growing increasingly irritated, she smiled lightly and said, "Gentlemen may not know, but this young Master Jiang once composed a poem for me here at Baihua House. The spring gurgles silently, cherishing its trickle, the tree's shade reflects in the water." As Xia He softly recited, those scholars who had been mocking Jiang Yuan turned ashen, their faces now the color of pig liver. Even if they prided themselves on being refined, they had to admit they could not compose such a poem. Still unsatisfied, they asked, "Miss Xia, you speak so highly of young Master Jiang. May we know which family he comes from?" Xia He smiled faintly, shaking her head silently. Baihua House had its rules. One could not casually reveal a guest's name. After bowing, she excused herself promptly. Boss Xin, however, changed his expression, quickly drank several cups of wine, and then left under some pretext. Early the next morning, Jiang Yuan felt sore all over, as if his bones were about to fall apart. It wasn't until Jiang Rower helped him that he could barely get dressed properly and head to the martial arts hall. Today, fortunately, there were no messy incidents. But as soon as he stepped into the classroom, he was immediately surrounded by his classmates again. "Brother Jiang, amazing. Yeah, normally you're so low-key, who would have thought you're such a talented genius? Just a single poem and you've won the favor of the top courtesan. Brother Jiang, you're truly a model for us all. Brother Jiang. Starting tonight, I must learn from you." "What? What are you talking about?" Jiang Yuan looked around in confusion. What had he done to make his classmates so hyped up like they'd taken a stimulant? Seeing his bewilderment, Jia Xingjing squeezed through the crowd and said, "Brother Jiang, you've become famous this time. You don't know, last night, Miss Xia He personally confessed her feelings to you, saying she won't entertain any other patrons and will only listen to your tunes in her little courtyard." "Wow, Brother Jiang, truly a charming scholar. Already stepping on 3 boats, and still not satisfied, truly a model for us." Jiang Yuan's face immediately turned green. What nonsense is this? How am I stepping on 3 boats? And Xia He, what's with her confessing? I didn't even do anything to her. How is my reputation being sullied like this? Just as he was fuming, teacher Qiao Yuanfeng rushed in. Looking extremely satisfied as he fixed his gaze on Jiang Yuan. "Jiang Yuan, I really wasn't wrong about you." He stepped forward and slapped Jiang Yuan hard on the shoulder. Jiang Yuan staggered, feeling as if his whole body might fall apart. But Qiao Yuanfeng grinned and said, "Keep it up, write more poems, and let the idiots at the martial arts hall finally open their eyes. What good is being fierce? Poetry and lyrics are what truly satisfy. Don't worry about what others think." A real man? Having 3 wives and 4 concubines is perfectly normal. Jiang Yuan. At Jingliang Cloth Company, Li Dihai was fretting when Wang Kuan burst in, full of excitement. "President, good news, good news." Li Dihai's eyes lit up and he hurried forward, asking anxiously, "What is it? Did you find Miao Shuang?" Wang Kuan shook his head. "Miao Shuang hasn't been found yet, but we did get the weaving machine from Chuanfeng Lu." Fine then." Li Dihai immediately lost interest, waved his hand, and said, "Just handle that matter yourself. No need to report everything to me. And make sure to find Miao Shuang as soon as possible." Wang Kuan immediately agreed repeatedly but couldn't help smiling coldly in his heart. Old man, your daughter is probably already dead at the hands of those bandits. You're dreaming. But don't worry, soon enough, I'll make sure you two reunite. Outwardly, he looked hesitant, but in reality, he continued, President, there's actually one more thing that requires your personal decision. What is it? Speak clearly, don't beat around the bush. Li Dihai looked annoyed. Wang Kuan continued, President, although we got the weaving machine from Chuanfeng Lu, its structure is extremely complex. If we want to replicate it, the cost won't be cheap. Li Dihai looked at Wang Kuan and asked sternly, how much silver would we need? Wang Kuan held up 5 fingers, looking serious, and said, at least 50,000 taels of silver. 50,000? Li Dihai took a sharp breath. That was no small sum. Even for Jingliang Cloth Company, handing over 50,000 taels would be a serious strain. Seeing Li Dihai hesitate, Wang Kuan urged, President, you can't catch a wolf without risking the child. Consider the 50,000 as an investment. As long as we successfully replicate the weaving machine, we could easily earn not just 50,000 but even 500,000 taels. Li Dihai gritted his teeth, thought for a moment, and finally nodded. Fine. I'll provide the 50,000 taels. He immediately arranged for his subordinates to take the silver notes from the cloth company and hand them to Wang Kuan. Take these silver notes and use them. Remember, make sure to replicate the weaving machine. Wang Kuan accepted the notes, beaming. Don't worry. President. I'll get it done. At Wang Kuan's residence, he returned home in high spirits and immediately ordered the weaving machine borrowed from Chuanfeng Lu to be moved into a secret room. He couldn't wait to try it, so he followed Jiang Xing's instructions, fed the threads into the machine, and began operating it. The machine went click-clack, click-clack. Wang Kuan watched expectantly, imagining producing fabric as exquisite as that of Chuanfeng Lu. However, as time passed, the smile on his face gradually froze. The fabric woven by this machine was not at all what he expected. The cloth was rough and uneven. Not even comparable to the cheapest coarse cloth on the market, let alone Chuanfeng Lu's fabric. What? What's going on? Wang Kuan's eyes widened, unable to believe it. He followed Jiang Xing's method exactly. How could it produce such trash? Could it be I was tricked? The more Wang Kuan thought, the angrier he became. He slammed the table in rage. That damn Jiang Xing. Conspiring with his brother to play me like this. I'll remember this. Just because the Jiangho mansion is rich and powerful doesn't mean I'll take this loss quietly. Jiang Xing, we'll see about that. Back at Jingliang Cloth Company, Li Dihai had just sent Wang Kuan off when his butler hurried in. Master, there's a letter for you. I don't want to see it. I don't have the mood for this. Li Dihai waved his hand irritably. But the butler leaned closer, speaking quickly. Master, it's a letter from the young lady. Miaoshuang? She wrote to me? Li Dihai shuddered, leaping from his chair. He snatched the letter from the butler and tore it open. But when he read it, a chill ran down his spine, and an overwhelming anger surged in his heart. That bastard Wang Kuan actually dared to lay a hand on Miaoshuang? This is outrageous, absolutely outrageous. Butler. Immediately gather people and bring that Wang Kuan here. I want to interrogate him myself. At the martial arts hall, on the training ground, Li Chunfeng watched Jiang Yuan swing the wooden sword in his hand with fierce energy. On the surface, he maintained a calm expression, but inside, waves of shock were crashing. How was this possible? In just one day, he had already entered the beginner level? What a joke! Even he, Sword Saint Li Chunfeng, had taken at least half a month to reach the entry level when he first learned swordsmanship. Thinking this, he couldn't help but frown and turn to Jiang Yuan, asking, Jiang Yuan, have you studied swordsmanship before? Jiang Yuan looked stunned and immediately shook his head. No, Master Li. Yesterday was the first time I ever touched a sword. Li Chuanfeng's heart leapt in surprise, but his expression remained composed. It seems you have some talent, you can roughly grasp my instructions. Alright, I'll demonstrate for you today, watch carefully. After saying this, he lightly flipped his palm, and in the next moment, a wooden branch directly landed in his hand. This ability to retrieve an object from a distance left Jiang Yuan speechless. He had thought that martial arts in this world were similar to those in his own memories, but now, it was clear this was an entirely different concept. Retrieving objects from a distance, this was essentially a supernatural ability? Seeing Jiang Yuan staring at him in shock, a faint smile appeared at the corner of Li Chuanfeng's mouth. Young people, after all, couldn't contain their excitement. Just by showing a little, he was already thrilled. Ahem, this is a trivial skill. As long as you can cultivate inner energy, you can naturally do the same. Inner energy? Jiang Yuan's face showed astonishment. This was the first time he had heard about the martial arts hierarchy in this world. Li Chuanfeng, seeing his confused expression, frowned slightly. Your father, Lord Jiang, has practiced martial arts for several years. Could he have never mentioned this to you? Jiang Yuan shook his head, a trace of coldness flashing in his heart. Lord Jiang? His mind probably only held that fool Jiang Xing. In truth, his father had never truly paid attention to him. It seemed Li Chuanfeng had noticed something, and he cleared his throat, deliberately changing the subject. Actually, this isn't really a secret. Martial arts are roughly divided into 5 major stages: external force, inner energy, energy transformation, master, and grandmaster. Each major stage is further divided into 3 minor stages: entry, intermediate, and complete. The reason I was able to make the branch fly into my hand just now was because I used inner energy. Hearing this, Jiang Yuan became instantly excited. So if he also practiced martial arts, he could eventually retrieve objects from a distance too? Then, shouting sword, come, and having countless flying swords floating around him, that would be so cool. Thinking of this, he immediately spoke up, Master Li, I want to learn. Please allow me to become your disciple. Li Chuanfeng heard this and shook his head lightly. I have sealed my sword, and I will not take any disciples for the rest of my life. However, guiding you in sword techniques is not considered breaking the rules. Jiang Yuan's face lit up with gratitude. Being personally instructed by the Sword Saint was an incredible opportunity. He even began thinking about how to entice Master Li to teach him more secret techniques. Maybe he could mention the Chuanqi Lu? Just as he was contemplating, Li Chuanfeng suddenly moved. His figure flowed like a dragon in motion, every move seemed effortless and fluid. The wooden branch in his hand transformed into countless afterimages, dazzling the eyes. Although these were basic sword techniques, in his hands, they seemed to contain endless possibilities. Sometimes swift and fierce like a sudden storm, sometimes light and graceful like a breeze brushing the willows. Jiang Yuan watched with his jaw dropped. Was this still basic swordsmanship? This was practically art. After completing a set of sword movements, Li Chuanfeng sheathed the sword, not a drop of sweat on his forehead. He looked at Jiang Yuan and asked calmly, did you watch carefully? Jiang Yuan nodded repeatedly, excitedly saying, yes, I watched carefully. Master Li, your swordsmanship is incredible. It's like some kind of special effect. You're so amazing, you must be at the Grandmaster level, right? Li Chuanfeng couldn't help but cough dryly and gave Jiang Yuan a sharp glance. Grandmaster? You kid really dare to dream. In this world, a Grandmaster hasn't appeared in 50 years. Jiang Yuan awkwardly scratched his head. He had assumed that being called a sword saint meant Li Chuanfeng must be a Grandmaster. Seems he had overestimated. Li Chuanfeng snorted lightly and began to admonish, don't aim too high. First, solidify the basics. Now, practice the basic sword techniques again. Let me see how well you've mastered them. Jiang Yuan nodded, took a deep breath to calm himself, and began mimicking Li Chuanfeng's movements, one by one. Though he wasn't as fluid and elegant as Li Chuanfeng, he managed to perform them with reasonable accuracy. Li Chunfeng watched from the side, a hint of surprise in his eyes. This kid's talent was too exceptional. He had only demonstrated once, and Jiang Yuan had already grasped about 70 to 80% of it. It's worth noting, he hadn't only shown the sword moves, he had also infused his understanding of swordsmanship. Yet Jiang Yuan seemed to have comprehended it. Still, Li Chunfeng remained composed. He said calmly, "Not bad, but there's still much to improve. You must practice diligently from now on, and never slack off." Hearing this, Jiang Yuan was instantly thrilled. Receiving praise from the sword saint was no small feat. He vowed to himself that he would follow Master Li closely and become a top swordsmanship expert. "Thank you for your guidance, Master Li. I will practice diligently and never disappoint you." At Wang Kuan's mansion, a large group of miscellaneous workers from Jingliang Clothworks rushed in, searching everywhere, yet they could not find Wang Kuan. "Head butler, we couldn't locate Wang Kuan. Also, there's no sign of any property left behind. I suspect he got wind of something in advance and has already fled." The butler frowned. The master had just given Wang Kuan 50,000 taels of silver today, and now he had run away? So all that about the Guild Flowers loom was just a scam? Thinking this, his face darkened. He waved his hand angrily. "Find him. Even if we have to dig 3 feet into the streets of the capital, bring that scoundrel Wang Kuan back." Just as the workers were about to disperse, a teasing voice sounded behind them. "Have you all gone mad? Breaking into my mansion and acting so recklessly. Head butler Li, it seems you know no manners at all." The old butler immediately turned around in anger upon hearing the familiar voice. "Wang Kuan! You actually dare come back?" Night was as dark as ink. Jiang Yuan dragged his exhausted body back to Jiang Ho's mansion. On the training grounds, Li Chunfeng had set very high standards for him. Jiang Yuan felt he had tried his best, yet he still couldn't meet Master Li's satisfaction. He even began to doubt himself. Was he truly cut out for swordsmanship? Fortunately, at the very end, Li Chunfeng did offer a few words of encouragement. On the carriage, Jiang Yuan slumped onto the cushion in total collapse. Suddenly, the rapid sound of hooves came from nearby. He shivered instinctively and tried to dodge, but Su, the steward driving the carriage ahead, said in a deep voice, "Young master, you needn't worry. These people aren't here for us. But the killing intent on them is heavy, not ordinary men." Jiang Yuan nodded slightly. He didn't dwell on their presence. After all, as long as they weren't after him, it was fine. Back at Jiang Ho's mansion, Jiang Yuan was about to return to his small courtyard when Jiang Rower's voice sounded from nearby. "Young master, someone requests an audience." "An audience? With me?" A look of surprise crossed Jiang Yuan's face. He followed the voice into the courtyard. There, he saw a familiar figure waiting. Jiang Yuan immediately approached and said, "Master Lu, why are you here so late?" Hearing Jiang Yuan's voice, Master Lu excitedly stood and walked over. "Sir, it's done. I've finished it," he said, picking up a repeating crossbow from the stone table and handing it to Jiang Yuan. Jiang Yuan took it in his hands and felt its weight immediately. Under the bright moonlight, the body of the crossbow emitted a chilling gleam. A fine crossbow. Jiang Yuan silently admired it. Then, he pulled the trigger. Bang! The bolt flew like lightning, embedding deep into the wall. Seeing this, Jiang Yuan nodded repeatedly. Master Lu is truly skillful. This will help me greatly. I wonder if this can be mass-produced? Hearing this, Master Lu nodded eagerly, his eyes shining with a unique expression. You may not know, sir, but I've already achieved mass production of the repeating crossbow using the method you provided. Right now, manpower is insufficient, so output isn't high. But producing 100 or 200 a month is nothing. Of course, if you want a much higher output, we would need more workers. Jiang Yuan nodded. 1 to 200 a month was more than enough after all, he only had a few dozen veteran soldiers under him. But should he hand this over to the Grand General's mansion? The question flashed through his mind, but he quickly made up his mind. He and the Grand General's mansion were now deeply bound together. One's rise or fall affected the other. So the stronger the Grand General's mansion became, the safer he would be. A simple repeating crossbow was nothing could give it. After all, he had more valuable things in store. If circumstances allowed, he even wanted to develop firearms. After quieting his thoughts, Jiang Yuan asked again, Master Lu, have the new looms been put into assembly line production? Master Lu shook his head, his face serious. Right now, it's only semi-assembly line. We lack workers, and the structure of the looms is complex. There aren't enough skilled people to assemble them. Jiang Yuan nodded. He understood it was a difficult problem to ask of Master Lu. After all, Master Lu only had about a dozen workers, most of whom were ordinary craftsmen, barely able to read large characters. Training them would take time. Then, produce 50 repeating crossbows first. The rest can follow slowly. As for the new looms, prioritize them. We must grow quickly. Master Lu responded, but a trace of hesitation appeared on his face. Jiang Yuan understood exactly what he wanted. He smiled faintly and took out a notebook from his sleep prepared in advance and handed it to Master Lu. Master Lu, this is basic physics. Study it carefully when you have time. All right. At the Jingliang cloth shop, Li Dihai grew increasingly uneasy. Those he had sent out had still not returned. But the letter from Li Miaoshuang brought him a small measure of relief. He didn't know what hardships she had endured these past few days. If it weren't for that young master from Chuanfeng Tower, who helped without asking for revenge, Miaoshuang might already have fallen into the hands of thieves. Once they dealt with Wang Kuan, that traitor who had eaten from both sides, he must invite Chuanfeng Tower to Jingliang cloth shop. Li Dihai made up his mind. At that moment, bang! The main gate of the cloth shop was kicked open. Li Dihai frowned, about to scold the intruders, but saw over 30 thugs surrounding him. The clerks who had tried to intervene were kicked aside, terrified, hiding in the corners. Li Dihai's face darkened. He sensed the ill intent of these men. Yet after years of navigating the business world and weathering storms, he did not lose his composure. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Who are you? Do you know this is the capital? Beneath the sun of heaven. You dare commit violence here? Are you not afraid of the authorities?" The thugs merely looked at him mockingly and began rifling through the shop for valuables. Li Dihai's expression changed. He was about to question them further when a familiar voice sounded, "Ah, isn't this the chairman of Jingliang cloth shop? How come you look so helpless now?" Li Dihai's face turned pale. He exclaimed, "Wang Kuan! Didn't you run away?" "Run away?" Wang Kuan's face twisted into a mocking smile. Then his expression changed to one of bitterness and hatred. Chairman Li, haven't I served you faithfully all these years? All the troubles Jingliang cloth shop faced, didn't I clean up the mess? But you. Instead of being grateful, you tried to harm me? Li Dihai, are you still human? Li Dihai's face sank. Where were his stewards? The people he had sent out, why hadn't they returned? Wang Kuan seemed to notice his thoughts and sneered, "Chairman Li, stop wasting time. Your loyal old dog is already a dead dog. What did you say? What did you do to him?" Li Dihai's eyes widened, his anger making his beard tremble uncontrollably. But Wang Kuan's face carried a faint, calm smile as he casually said, "It's nothing really. This old dog wasn't listening, so I just broke all 4 of his legs. Now he's barely Alavino better than a dead dog. Come to think of it, Chairman Li, didn't you already resent me? If you hadn't tried to attack me, we could have been cooperating quite happily." Nonsense. Li Dihai trembled with rage, his face darkening to an extreme. "Wang Kuan, I'm asking you, did you send someone to try to kill Miaoshuang?" "Of course." "Why?" Wang Kuan glanced at Li Dihai indifferently, then a ruthless glint flashed in his eyes. "If you won't do it, then I'll have to do it myself. Too bad for her, she got lucky and escaped." "Oh, and I heard she wrote you a letter?" Li Dihai's expression immediately darkened. He never expected Wang Kuan to know about this too. Clearly, someone had betrayed him and it had to be one of the people he trusted the most. Thinking this, Li Dihai couldn't hold back and spat out a mouthful of blood. Seeing this, Wang Kuan's smile grew even brighter. Chairman Li, don't get so worked up. I was just curious what that brat girl said to you that made you want to come after me. Go get me that letter. With a wave of his hand, 7 or 8 thugs rushed forward. Li Dihai instinctively tried to step back but was immediately surrounded. Being a merchant in his 50s, he stood no chance against them. He couldn't resist, and the letter was snatched from his hands. Seeing the letter, Wang Kuan's lips curved slightly into a mocking smile. Chairman Li, you should trust me. I'm doing this for the good of Jingliang Cloth Company. Besides. His words cut off mid-sentence as his eyes locked on a line of small text on the envelope, Master Jiang of Baihua Brothel. Life-saving favor? So that meant Li Miaoshuang and Jiang Yuan were closely connected? At this thought, a bold idea formed in Wang Kuan's mind. He looked at Li Dihai with a cold sneer. Chairman Li, one day you'll understand only I, Wang Kuan, truly care about Jingliang Cloth Company. And now, you'll need to contribute to our company as well. Li Dihai's face turned pale with fear as he asked Wang Kuan, what exactly do you want to do? I warn you, don't act rashly, this is Beijing, the authorities are right. Before he could finish, Wang Kuan slapped him across the cheek with a sharp smack. Warn me? Looks like you still don't understand the situation, Chairman Li. Hey, you people from Hiling Mountain. Those bandits are really too much. They even kidnapped our chairman. What are we supposed to do? How about this, Wang Kuan said, write a letter to Li Miaoshuang, tell her to prepare 200,000 taels of silver and the weaving machines from Chuanfeng Tower for ransom. The thugs beside him laughed cruelly. One asked, Boss Wang, are you coming with us to Hiling Mountain? Are you kidding? I'm a legitimate businessman. Why would I get involved with a bunch of bandits like you? Wang Kuan's calm, composed demeanor only made Li Dihai angrier. You bastard, Wang Kuan. Businessmen have rules, don't drag family into it. Miaoshuang is someone you've seen grow up. How can you harm her? Enough, Chairman Li. Are you done whining? Wang Kuan scratched his head, dismissively glancing at him. Stop wasting words. Take him away. Time passed quickly through the night. Thanks to Jiang Roer's attentive massage last night, Jiang Yuan's soreness had eased considerably. After a simple breakfast, he took a carriage to the martial arts hall. As soon as he dismounted, he saw Li Miaoshuang running toward him, her eyes red and swollen. Master Jiang, please save my father. Li Miaoshuang cried, tears streaming down her face, and tried to kneel before him. Jiang Yuan quickly reached out to support her and urgently asked, Miss Li, calm down first. What exactly happened? Between sobs, Li Miaoshuang took a letter from her chest and handed it to Jiang Yuan. My father. He was kidnapped by the bandits from Hiling Mountain. They sent this letter, saying that they want 200,000 taels of silver and the weaving machines from Chuanfeng Tower, or they won't release him. Jiang Yuan scanned the letter, his brows knitting tightly. 200,000 taels? That's no small sum. Even for a prosperous business like Jingliang Cloth Company, producing that much at once would be a huge strain. And they also wanted the weaving machines from Chuanfeng Tower? Clearly, this was aimed directly at him. Miss Li, calm down first. Tell me exactly what happened. You warned my father yesterday about Wang Kuan, right? Li Miaoshuang nodded, choking on her sobs. Yes. I did right to warn him yesterday. But I don't know why things ended up like this. At this, she could no longer hold back and cried loudly. Jiang Yuan's expression darkened further. It seemed Wang Kuan had clearly been prepared in advance. Yesterday, when things started to go wrong, he acted first. As for the Hiling Mountain bandits, Jiang Yuan remembered that it was these bandits who had sneaked into Chuanfeng Tower a few days ago. Clearly, Wang Kuan and the Hiling Mountain bandits were working together. He sneered and told Li Miaoshuang his deduction. Li Miaoshuang's eyes widened in disbelief. This can't be. Wang Kuan. He's the vice-chairman of Jingliang Cloth Company. Her face went pale as she clutched Jiang Yuan's arm and asked shakily, Master Jiang. What? What should we do now? Is my father in danger? Jiang Yuan took a deep breath, reassuring her, Miss Li, don't panic. Your father shouldn't be in immediate life-threatening danger. After all, they still need him to collect the ransom and the weaving machines. The most urgent task is to find Wang Kuan's whereabouts. Only by finding him can we rescue your father. Li Miaoshuang nodded repeatedly, urgently saying, Yes. Yes. Find Wang Kuan first. I know where his residence sits in Quotofeng in the inner city. However, when Jiang Yuan and Li Miaoshuang arrived at Wang Kuan's residence, they found it completely abandoned. Even the owner of the house had disappeared.